go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie, and today I have fall DIYs that I've crafted so far this year in 2023 using supplies from the Dollar Tree. We are going to have woodland creatures, we are going to have neutral fall, and we're even going to have some owl decor today. So it's going to be a longer video, so I will be sure to include chapters below, but let's get crafting. Now for the first DIY, we're going to use one of these $3 Dollar Tree Plus pumpkins. Had to go a couple towns over, but I was really impressed with like the fall and Halloween at a Dollar Tree Plus. Look how large and detailed this green pumpkin is. I think it's going to be perfect for this DIY. Now this is what we're going to use for this DIY. It's Sisal twine, and I did not get it at Dollar Tree. I couldn't find anything like this at Dollar Tree, so I did have to go to Walmart for that. I think it was about $4, and you get this huge roll. And what I want to do with this is make a little Sisal woodland animal peeking out of the pumpkin. I thought that'd be really cute. And then I decided which woodland animal I wanted to do. And I decided I wanted to make a raccoon. So let me show you how I did it. It's my first Sisal animal. I've bought these before. I love them, but I wanted to see if I could recreate it. So I start with aluminum foil. I tried a small piece at first and it just wasn't large enough, so I got a way bigger piece of Reynolds wrap. It can be any kind of aluminum foil, and I'm just trying to shape it into like kind of like a head or a snout of a raccoon. So I kind of don't really care. It can be flat on the back, but I just kind of want to have a little bit of a pointier snout like a raccoon would have. But this is the basic shape that I came up with. I went online to try to find out how to make the little Sisal animals because I love them. They suggested aluminum foil and pantyhose, and I'll try to find that video and post it below. They had a lot of great ideas. And so I'm just using old pantyhose, like any kind of a flesh color would be good. And I just cut off enough to go over the whole thing. And then it's just a matter of hot gluing the pantyhose just to go up next to the aluminum foil. You don't want like lots of overhanging fabric. The pantyhose works great because it gives you something to glue to besides the aluminum foil. And it just gives it a little bit more shape here. So I just glue down all the loose edges. And if I do have some excess nylon, I just go ahead and trim that off. So that's the first step of a raccoon. It doesn't look like a raccoon, does it? Now, this DIY, I can't say it was easy. It was harder than I thought it was going to be just because it's time consuming. But I'll take you through all the steps of it because it turned out so cute. It's like one of my favorite DIYs I've ever made. So this is the Sisal twine. I was trying to figure out how I could create this little guy without like actually having to cut and glue on each individual piece of Sisal. And I really couldn't come up with any good ideas. And so that's what it's going to take. So I just start taking the Sisal twine and I start cutting it. I'm just going for like larger than an inch. I'm not really measuring it or anything like that. Just trying to get about the same size. And then I just put a little band of hot glue down, and working quickly, I try to lay as many of those as I can, facing towards the back. The back part there is the straight part is like the back of the head. And so I'm going to have like overlapping Sisal twines. So it'll kind of look like fur in the final project. So I just went ahead and did one row for the back, and then lots of cutting and gluing on this project, probably lots more cutting. I'm getting all those little individual pieces. Now you don't have to use Sisal twine, but I really want it to be authentic. When I looked online, there was different kinds of fibers that you could use, but none of my stores really carried anything. Other ideas were like flax fiber, coconut fibers. There were some other ideas that you could use for this, but usually they use Sisal. Now, I think that the Sisal it's pretty thin, but I don't know if it's quite as thin as some of the ones that I have actually bought pre-made, but I think it did a pretty good job. So as you can see, I'm just doing one row at a time. I'm doing the top of the little raccoon head, and I'm slightly overlapping, making the hair go back towards the back of the head as I work my way up to the little snout, the little nose here of a raccoon. And I'm just doing the top part just to kind of get my bearings here. If you wanted to go all the way around with each row, you could totally do that. So now that I got the front done, I'm just going to go ahead and do the sides. And I'm going to overlap them and kind of continue that same line that I did on the top. Now, I did have less room on the bottom because of the shape of it. So I'm kind of glad that I did the top and the bottom separately because I did do less rows on the bottom. And it made it a little bit easier, and you're not really going to be able to see it down there. So this is my other side, just one piece at a time here. I do try to put a band of hot glue, and so I don't have to hot glue every single one on, but I got the top, both sides done, and then I did a little bit more here on the nose to fill it all the way in. This little guy turned out so cute. My son was home visiting for college for Labor Day weekend. His friend had a party, and I was so happy to see him. So I was so glad that I had somebody to show this DIY to, because he's always my biggest fan. So this is the bottom. I think I did like maybe only 3 rows on the bottom. It really didn't need very much. And now it's time for a haircut. Everything seems to be really secure. And so I'm cutting like against the grain and just trimming all over just to try to shape it up a little bit, just to make it look more like raccoon fur, I guess. And again, it's a little thicker, you know, than you would traditionally see for fur, but it totally gives you that same vibe that you get from the little Sisal animals. Next up, I just need some thin cardboard, so I'm just going to use a food box like from some macaroni and cheese, and I'm just going to cut out 2 little raccoon ears. They kind of have an ear that's shaped kind of like a cat ear, so I'm kind of thinking cat ear here with like a rounded triangle. And I'm going to need 2 of them, so I'm just trying to cut down 2 of those about the same size and to scale for our little head. Now you could cover that with pantyhose first, but I didn't think it would really be necessary. So again, I'm just taking those little Sisal pieces and hot gluing them into a triangular shape here. Just trying to fill up as much of the triangle as I can with those. And since it is an ear, you might be able to see it from behind, so I will have to flip it over and add some of the Sisal to the other side too. But this is the first side, and I'm just making them longer than they need to be just because my pieces are a little bit longer, but I can always go back and trim them once I have them all glued down. So this is the back. Mine was blue from the box, but it doesn't really matter because we are going to paint these because I want it to be like traditional colors for a raccoon. So I don't think that's going to matter. So I just trimmed my 2 ears. And we're only going to do the raccoon head, so that is all the construction on that. I know that was a lot. So now it's time to paint our little raccoon. The first step is I'm going over everything with just some white acrylic. And I am using a Dollar Tree brush to kind of like get down in there between the different fibers, especially since I have kind of like overlapping rows. And the pantyhose doesn't show like through too much, the nylon. But if I can, I try to kind of paint that white as well to kind of make it all blend in. So I'm just going all the way around this little raccoon head. I was like about halfway through this project and I was like, man, I don't know if this looks anything like a raccoon. It really didn't to me, but it came together so cute. I can't wait for you guys to see how it turned out. So once I got the snout painted, I do the same thing here with our little raccoon ears. Just giving them a nice coat of paint on everything, trying to cover up the cardboard that was behind it as well. Now for traditional like raccoon colors, I want my raccoon to be gray. I kind of had a little bit darker color gray, so I'm just lightening it with a little bit of white paint. And then we are going to paint like the back part here of a raccoon head, the like last 2 rows there on the back of the head, that gray color. And then a little bit between the eyes there. That's going to give me that classic raccoon face. He's going to have like the white face with the black markings, but a little bit gray there on the back of his head. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint the ears too. I kind of did the white on these just to kind of give me a base coat to cover up the box and everything. So I just do gray all over those. And we will paint those different colors as well. So the inside of the ear, we are just doing white. And I just paint like a triangular shape of white acrylic in there. And then I'm going in with black. Now raccoons have like, you know, the black area around their eyes. I'm going to kind of have it like be where the eye is and then it kind of go down like a cheek part with the black, trying not to get it too much out of that little general area. And then I turn it over and do the same thing here with the little raccoon markings on the other side. We're also going just to DIY the little raccoon eyes and nose with some with an item from the Dollar Tree. So that'll be nice and easy too. Now, I was trying to find something that I could use from the Dollar Tree. I thought about like unwinding their brown rope, but it kind of gives you like a curvy texture. I even thought about trying to dismantle some burlap ribbon, but in the end, I'm glad that I went to Walmart and just went ahead and got the Sisal because sometimes Dollar Tree doesn't have everything that we need for crafting. Now for the ears, as you can see, I just painted a little black triangle on the middle. And we are going to attach those with toothpicks. So I just hot glued toothpicks to the back, and then I just poke my little raccoon ears right inside the aluminum foil head there. And I do the same thing with the other side. The toothpick really keeps it in place. I didn't really have to use hot glue for that step. Okay, it's time for eyes and nose, and I'm just going to use some of this Model Magic from Dollar Tree. I didn't have any black, which was surprising because I have lots of colors, but I had white, so I'll just paint it, no big deal. I just take a little tiny piece of the Model Magic and just do a little triangular nose, kind of like any animal like that would have, and kind of round it, and then 2 tiny pieces for eyes. They kind of have larger eyes that are round, and so I do 2 little round eyes and just kind of checking on my nose, trying to make sure it's not too big. I didn't carve any nostrils or anything in it. I thought that was a little bit over the top, so I'm just going to attach it with hot glue, and that Model Magic does get hard over time. I've DIY'd with it a lot, and I always love the results. Now right here where the little black eye spots are is where I'm going to hot glue on our little eyes. And mine aren't hard yet, but they will harden up. But I can still go ahead and paint them at this point, and so that's what I do. I just use a tiny brush, and I am going to paint both of our little raccoon eyes black. And I'm also going to paint the little nose of the raccoon black too, just trying to make sure that I don't get any on my little raccoon face. What do you guys think? Isn't he so cute? I absolutely love this little guy, and I want him like he's inside the pumpkin peeking out. So I use like the little raccoon head for reference, and I just kind of mark out how big I'm going to need the hole to be because I don't want it to be too large. I just want him peeking out of the hole like there's just enough room for him. So now it's just time to carve this Dollar Tree pumpkin. I just used a small knife and just started carving. It is solid with styrofoam like all the way through, but I initially got my little bit of opening here where I could carve that out, and then I can go a little bit deeper because I do want it to be inside the little pumpkin peeking out, and I want it to have plenty of space for his head to fit in there. So I just cut it out a little smaller than needed and then just made it a little bit larger with the carving until he fit in there perfectly. Now, the styrofoam is a little messy, but I was able to carve out enough space for him, and I also want to do enough space for like 2 little paws sticking out underneath of his face. I thought that would be a really cute touch as well. maybe a little bit more, and I think we're ready. Now for his paws, I was thinking popsicle sticks, and I grabbed a couple different sizes, and I think the smaller one there is the one that I'm going to choose. I think that's going to be a really good scale. These things are so easy to cut. You can just cut them with scissors. I just cut 2 down. I want the little rounded ends because they remind me of what paws would look like for this little guy, right? So I do have to cut down some more sisal and hot glue the sisal to it so I can give it like the same kind of fur that the raccoon had. Kind of forgot about that when I was doing the other part, but you could totally do this step in advance while you had everything going for that. So I just did 2 rows overlapping with the fur kind of pointing down for the paws. And then I just go back with my scissors, give it a haircut, and trim up the paws to kind of give them that paw shape. And they're just going to be one color, so I'm just going to do gray paint on these, and those will be ready to go. You're not going to be able to see the back of them, so I don't really need to do anything back there. And I want it to be like he's peeking out of the pumpkin, maybe a few fall leaves too. I think that will look really cute. So there's his paws. I got those all completed and dried, and now we can start putting it together. I was trying to decide what kind of leaves I wanted to use. I wasn't a big fan of these bold colors with this little guy, but I thought I would try it out. And I decided I wanted a little bit more neutral color, even though I have a lot of color with that green pumpkin. I thought these leaves from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. They're like kind of a golden and like tan color. I think that'll be better. So I think 2 leaves is plenty, just to kind of peek out the bottom here where he's going to have his paws, just to give it a little touch of fall. So I just hot glue both of those in our little hole we carved in the pumpkin. And then the paws can kind of sit on it like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue those in place. You could add them later. I'm just going to go ahead and add those now. And then I have to figure out a way to get my raccoon's head to stick to the pumpkin. Now you can use any kind of dowel for this. Sometimes I like to pick up things on clearance, like these cuticle sticks, because I like to use them for crafting. And it's basically a dowel, and it's a nice small size, and that's what I use. I just put it in the aluminum foil head, and then I just stab through the foam there in the pumpkin, and he fits nicely in there. I want him tucked in the pumpkin a little bit, so it really gives you that effect that he is peeking out. And this is how he turned out. Isn't he just the cutest thing? I have such a soft spot for raccoons. I know they're pests, but they're so cute. My son's campus has them, and we've seen them a couple times there, and he always gets a kick out of them as well. But this is how it turned out. My little Sisal raccoon creature for fall, my little woodland animal, peeking out of a Dollar Tree green pumpkin with a few leaves as well. And I'll give you a closer view of this too to kind of show you the different dimensions of this guy, because he's just my favorite. He might be one of my favorite DIYs I've ever made. I absolutely love him, and I'm totally on the bandwagon. I totally want to make more like little Sisal animals like him because he's so cute. Okay, the next DIY is going to be way easier. I designed a great printable of a squirrel and some pumpkins to put on a Dollar Tree acorn. So this is just an acorn sign from the Dollar Tree, just the plain wood one. And I made this 8.5 by 8.5 inches, the image. Mine kind of shrank it down to 97% because I don't have like edge-to-edge printing, but that's fine. And I will include a link to the printable in the video description below. And I just set my acorn right on top and just trace out like the bottom part of the acorn so that I can cut that down to size. I printed this on white cardstock. I get this at Target, like by the ream. I like to Mod Podge with this because it doesn't wrinkle. It's so easy to cut and to craft with, and I think it turned out cute. So I think this image is really pretty for like a woodland animal theme. So all it's going to take is a little bit of Mod Podge here all over the little acorn, and then just laying the cardstock on there. And then I'm going to do something else for the little acorn cap. Once I get it on there and dry, I do go over it with one more coat of Mod Podge just to seal that on there, give it a finished look. It's going to make it look a lot less like paper and more like a finished item. Now, I was trying to decide what to do with the acorn cap, and I wanted something with some texture, so I decided to use Dollar Tree rope, the brown rope, and more specifically, this is like the thinner kind. Now, it's kind of an arched shape there for the acorn cap, so I'm going to kind of go with that and do rows of rope. You could also use, there's so many things from Dollar Tree you could use for this. If you wanted texture, you could also use burlap. I think that would look really cute too. I just wanted to kind of see what it would look like with rope. So I hot glue that along this end and then cut it down to size. And then I'm just going to keep doing that until I go down and it will meet up with the picture and cover up the top of the image. Now, I was kind of confused, like if I could keep doing that same length. I decided I didn't want it to be super thick on the sides once I started getting down on the image that's on the acorn. And so once I get like the cap part full for the sides, I decided to start making it a little bit smaller. So after this row, I start shortening them a little bit because I still have area I need to fit in there. And, you know, my sheet of paper is only so big. So I just make it, you know, like a 1/2 inch shorter there on the side, on both sides. And it kind of gives you an interesting texture there. And then I make this one a little bit shorter as well. And that's going to be good because that's going to cover up all of the paper and seal that in. Then I'm just going to cut some smaller pieces of rope to do the very top part. I just left the existing hanger on there. We'll just kind of glue that under there and we could still use the existing hanger. And that's how easy this DIY was. I think it turned out so cute. Look at this beautiful image. I love this, and I will share this in my Google Drive so you can print this, create the same thing. I just need a little bit of trimming around my little acorn cap there with the rope just to make sure I don't have any hanging off the ends. And this is how he turned out. I love the colors. I love the green and the orange and that beautiful watercolor of a squirrel. And this is how it turned out. I think it's really pretty and it looks great with my little raccoon. So my little squirrel acorn DIY is complete. He's kind of a fat little squirrel there, isn't he? He's so sweet. I love his little ears standing straight up. Okay, the next DIY, I think this is new this year. I've never seen them, but this year at Dollar Tree, they have fox signs. So I wanted to see if I could do a really cool take on the little fox sign from Dollar Tree. So the first thing I do is just remove the hanger and fill the little hole in with a little spackle. I want to paint the squirrel to look like a fox, but I also wanted to have fur like a fox. So I'm going to use that Dollar Tree Pampas grass that you saw there in the fall colors. And this turned out so fun. But the first step is to paint it. So I'm just going over the entire fox sign with white acrylic. And the fox is going to have some white parts, so that will be good for that. It has the raised tip of the foxtail and the raised top part of its head. Also, like the raised eyes and one of the little fox legs. Now, like a fox's eyes are really like in the orange part, not necessarily the white part. But I know that a lot of signs design it this way. Now, I was trying to match that Pampas grass that I got at Dollar Tree, so I used a little golden sunset mixed with a little bit of orange for my perfect fox color. And then I'm just going to go in and start painting this. It's a little tricky when you get to the little bump out parts there, trying not to get like orange paint all over them. But I can always touch them up if I do. So I just start with a little foxtail. They kind of have like a little white area of fluffy fur that comes down on their chest. So I do kind of like a triangular shape there. I'm going to leave that white. and then paint the little fox body, that beautiful gold color. And then also this little bump out part here where his ears and the top of his head, that beautiful golden color. I did get a little paint on the white, but I'm just going to go in with my baby wipe and kind of clean that up and touch it up with some more white paint. So if you're a little bit neater of a painter than me, then you might not get any on there, but I did have to touch it up a little bit there. Now it's time to do the rest of it. I kind of wanted it to look fluffy here for the little chest of the fox. So I do like a little graduated look, and then I'm also going to use that same golden color for his eyes. Now I'm going to give him his little black fox boots because I want him to look really super cute. So I just kind of give it a regular edge at the top, kind of like you would see on fur. And then also this little foot that's peeking out is going to be black too. Now the eyes were a little tricky because they were shaped kind of uniquely. I didn't know if they wanted me to do like closed eyes or open eyes. So I did the golden. I tried to outline it with a paint pen, but I thought it was too thick. So I went back and did it with a black Sharpie. It's going to give me a little bit finer line here. And then I'm also going to give little like kind of square pupils. And I can do that with a black paint pen to make them a little bit darker. And then I'm going to give him a little tiny fox nose right here underneath where the little bump out part is. I just do a little black triangle. And I want it to go all the way up and meet the golden. So I use a little tiny brush and some black paint to help fill that in a little bit. I don't want to give him a super big nose, just something nice and cute there, and I want it to look like a little triangle. I think he's looking super cute. I'm going to give a little like white reflection here in the pupil of his eye just to give that a little bit more character. And now it's time for fox fur. So this is the pampas grass that we're going to use. I got one sprig of this color and I thought it would be perfect for a fox fur. I don't know why I thought that, but I just did. So I'm just going to take one piece of the pampas grass at a time. And then I'm just going to remove the pampas grass to make it look like fur. I try to just do half of it and then a bundle of it. Try to get a good control of that. And then just start using some hot glue here on the little foxtail and start gluing that down. I'm going to do kind of like fur similar to the Sisal that we used on the raccoon, where it kind of overlaps a little bit and it all kind of goes in one direction. And I'm just hot gluing that all in place. Now, when you're first putting it on there, it kind of looks like a mess because you're going around all these different angles, but just remember you can always go back and give it a trim and it's going to make it look cleaner. Now I painted it orange underneath because of course there's going to be lots of areas where there isn't any of the fur, so you're going to be able to see that through there, and I think they complement each other nicely. I think we did a good job there on the color. So just going to cover the rest of his body here, letting a little bit extra fluff come down on his chest like a little fox. And then we're going to start here on the head, making the fur kind of go back towards the back of the head. And I don't give a lot of details to his ears. He's just going to have furry little fox ears. And I pretty much used the entire piece of pampas grass until I got enough to cover it all up. I don't want the hot glue to be real noticeable, so I try to like clean up any like glue strings and stuff like that we might have. And now it's time. He needs a little fox trim. So I'm going to go in with my scissors and cut around the shape of the fox sign to cut off any of the fur that's too long or overlapping things too much. And then I'm also going to trim it up a little bit just to make it look a little bit better. I kind of like the extra fluff here on his little chest. And I didn't really think that you got like the white fur effect that I wanted for the fox chest. So I am going to add to that to make it look a little fluffier there. But just going to go ahead and trim his head, just going around the shape of that little bump out. It's okay if it overlaps a little bit. I just want him to look really furry like a fox. I'm so glad I decided to add the pampas grass to this guy because I think he has so much character now. I just absolutely love him. So once I got the shape all cut out, I just go in and trim here and there, wherever I think he needs a little bit of a trim. And then I want to take this and put it on another sign to kind of make a little bit more of a more substantial piece. And I couldn't decide at first what I wanted to put it on, so I thought I would make him first and then decide from there. Now this is what I'm going to use for the fluff for his chest. This is the white automotive towel from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to take a little piece here and cut a little triangular piece for his little fluffy fox chest. So I just kind of cut that down to size of his neck and then cut a triangular shape. And then I also want it to look fluffy. So I just do little cuts along the sides to give it that extra little fluffy furry look. And this is already a really kind of fluffy fabric. And then I'm just going to hot glue that right there underneath the little fox head, kind of overlapping our little Pampas fur. And then I decided to do it on a Dollar Tree wood round. I think that's going to be a really nice size. And I found these great placemats on clearance at Target the other day. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the hanger. I don't really like the hanger that comes on those. Replace that with some twine so that I can knot it in the front. So I just use Dollar Tree twine, feed it through, knot it in the front. And then we're going to use one of those great placemats from the Dollar Tree for the front. Not the Dollar Tree, actually from Target. These were on clearance for $1.80 at my Target in the kitchen section, and you get two. So they're only 90 cents a piece, so cheaper than the Dollar Tree. But look at this great fabric. I went back today to get more. I had grabbed 2 packages of them before, and I wish I would have grabbed more because I absolutely loved crafting with these. So cool. I'm going to kind of use mine upside down. I like the texture on the bottom a little better, and it's larger than I need for the wood round sign. Now I do have those knots coming through with the hanger, so I decided just to go ahead and kind of include that in my design. Because there's holes in this, I can just kind of feed the little knot through. So instead of a bump, I actually have like the rope coming through, and I'll just add another little texture to the front of my sign. So I just kind of find out where that is. Then using like a little Cricut weeder, I just kind of feed that through. And then we can start attaching this. I do half of it at a time because I don't want my hot glue to set up. So I do the top half. I just line this up. I'm going to have a couple extra rows around the edges to cut off, and then I want to go ahead and hot glue the bottom half on. And this is so easy to trim. This is why I went back today trying to find more of these. Maybe I should go to a Target in another town because I want more of these. I think these would be great for coastal crafting, also great for fall crafting. So I just trimmed that down to the size of my wood round from the Dollar Tree, and it looks so much more high-end now. And I think that's going to provide a really cute backdrop for this beautiful little furry fox. And he's going to fit on there just perfectly. I thought about adding a word to it, but I decided I just wanted maybe a few fall touches. So this is how he looks on there. Isn't that so darling? And all I have to do is attach it, so I'm just going to hot glue him straight to the placemat. I use a lot of hot glue because I don't want him falling off. And then there's a little bit of area to the right of his head there where I do have some room for some fall touches, but this is what he looks like so far. I decided to use those same fall leaves that we used on our little raccoon pumpkin with like the 2 different colors. They complement the fox really nicely. So I'm just going to do 2. I just cut the stems off of them, and I'm just going to hot glue them right next to him, just kind of alternating the colors. And it gives it just a little touch of fall for our little fox sign. Look how cute he turned out. I'm absolutely in love with this little guy as well. So here's our little Pampas grass furry fox using supplies from the Dollar Tree and a clearance placemat from Target. He's so cute. I'm so glad I decided to give him little black boots there. I think that's so fun. If you recreate this, you'll have to show me in our Facebook group. I would love to know what you did with your eyes. Hey guys, I wanted to tell you about that Facebook group. I always have it linked in the description below. I'd love to see you over there. You'll find out when I post new videos, and I would love to see what you're crafting. I also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and Threads, and my handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube. Okay, the next item is from the Target dollar spot. Check out this cool tray I got there just the other day in their Halloween section. It's $5. And I don't really think it's Halloween. I think it's more fall. It's plastic. It's very lightweight, but look how it looks just like a tree stump. It's not shiny or anything like you would normally see from plastic. It's got this beautiful texture all over, and I thought this would make a really cute little fall tray using some woodland animals. So let me show you how I decorated mine. I'm going to use this little round metal sign from Dollar Tree. I love the base on that, and then some of these little rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree fall section as well. Now, I'm just going to go over the flat part of the sign there with some Ivory chalk paint. I chose chalk paint just because it would be a little bit thicker because I have a lot of black writing I need to cover up on there, and it still took like 3 or 4 coats so that you couldn't read that, but I just do a thin coat at a time, drying in between, and then we can go ahead and add those rub-on transfers. I'm going to combine several of those together to do a really cute little fall sign for the tray. Something that stands up that you can read. It's not a super large tray, so it's not going to take a whole lot to decorate this. Aren't these images like so cute? I chose Hello Autumn. I thought that would be really cute on there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that down and scrape that on. Now, the chalk paint did kind of give me a dry surface, so I found that I did have to scrape kind of more than I usually have to with these, but always test before you pull it up all the way to make sure it's down, because you can just lay it back down and continue scraping it. I thought this image was really nice, but it doesn't really fit with the round shape, but that's okay. You can always cut these down exactly to what part you need. And I'm just going to do that, maybe a few fall leaves just to kind of fill in like the little circular pattern to go all the way around the circle. And we're going to have a little custom fall sign for this. It's just a matter of scraping these all on and peeling off the plastic. Now, this sign does have like a little flat base, and so I want to decorate that too with some fall items, and we're going to be doing lots of woodland animals on the little tree stump tray, so I thought acorns would be perfect for that. So we're going to use Dollar Tree acorns, and these are the ones that are already the right color and everything, and I got a new Ryobi glue gun to replace the one that was not working properly. So this is my first test of this. Amazon did replace it, which is great. Thank you, Amazon. I have not put it in my shop below, I do not think, because I want to see if this one works better than the last one, because my other one, the little hot glue sticks were melting inside and getting stuck. And I never had that problem with my larger one, so I want to try it out for you before I recommend it. Now I use a little bit of floral moss combined with the acorns to decorate the base of this, and we can put this on the back here of our little tree stump. So cute. Now to decorate it, Dollar Tree has these great woodland animals, including this adorable little squirrel. He's perfect. He's holding a little acorn, and he's painted very nice. He's got lots of texture. He's even smiling. So we're going to place him right here in front of our tree stump. To go with him, I also found a raccoon at Dollar Tree. He's holding a little pine cone. I love the painting and the detail on him. He's so cute. They had these last year at Dollar Tree too. I'm in love with them. I think they're just so adorable. I thought the pine cone was a little dark and could be painted a little better, so I just went over mine with this teddy bear color of paint just to lighten it up a little bit. You might want to do a little bit darker than that, but a pine cone shouldn't be super dark, so I thought that made it look a little bit better, and it wasn't painted so nicely. We're going to put the little raccoon here on the other side of our little squirrel. And then I also got a Dollar Tree fox. Look how cute he is. He has a little mushroom, and I think he's perfect. I don't think there's enough room to put him on the tray because the tray, again, is not large, but I thought it'd be really cute to put it like next to the tray. like next to the tree and kind of get the same fun effect. Then I just need very little filler to fill it up. So I'm going to use some of these like orange leaves from the Dollar Tree just to kind of fill up any spaces that aren't filled up. And that's going to give me a little touch of fall here. And this was just a quick, easy Dollar Tree and Dollar Spot tray for fall. Look how much fall goodness you get there. And this was so easy to do because most of the items were ready to go and inexpensive as well. So you can't beat that, right? So if you see this little tree stump at your Target Dollar Spot, I had to go to another town because my Target Dollar Spot has just not been bringing it with the selection. Pick it up because look how cute it is. You could use this basically for any season, I think, as well. And that's one thing I like about it. Just adding the fall leaves to it is going to give it that fall touch. Now, I found some other items at the Dollar Tree today, and they were so cute. So I wanted to make a little stand to display them. I wanted something rustic to go with like the woodland animal theme. So I'm going to use these little wood round signs from Dollar Tree. I don't need the little hangers on them though. Be super careful when you remove the staples from the side. These things can fall apart. I wanted to combine these with some of the Dollar Tree dowels to make a cute little like 3-tier stand to hold these adorable items that you're going to see here in a minute. Now, these dowels from the Dollar Tree are bigger than any of the dowels from the Dollar Tree I've ever found before. You could always use the smaller ones. You could always use a pumpkin plunger as well. My husband lent me this fancy drill bit to do a nice hole that would be big enough for the whole dowel to go through, but it was a fail. So it busted my little tree slice, but that's okay because I happen to have a spare, thank goodness. So I'm not going to be able to drill through them like I wanted to, so I'm going to have to find another way to construct this. So I cut my dowel down into 2 smaller pieces, and I tried attaching it with hot glue at first. I want like this one to go off to the side a little bit. And I want this to have like 3 shelves because I found 3 of the cutest little woodland animal things that I wanted to add. But as you can see, hot glue alone is not going to cut it. So I do have some Dollar Tree nails. So I'm going to go ahead and nail directly into the dowel from the bottom of the wood slice to hold that in place. And then for the middle piece, I kind of wanted it to be a 2-directional piece. So I wanted a nail to be coming from the bottom and a nail to be going down. That way I could go ahead and put the next dowel on it and kind of build it upwards. Now that nail coming up though was a fail. It didn't work. But this nail going down into my dowel was a success. So I'm just going to nail that in place. The hot glue kind of gave it a temporary hold, but the nail is great because it allows you to pivot it if you want to kind of readjust your tray. Now this was me trying to attach the dowel to the other nail, but it just wasn't going to work. So I decided to change my plan here. Maybe have a second shelf coming out the other side and just make this second dowel a little bit shorter. So I cut that down a little bit. We're gonna glue it here on the back here of the wood slice. And I used the larger wood slice on the bottom, hot glued it into place, and then I go back in with a nail to nail that in place to give it some, to make it sturdy. And the items I'm going to add to it from the Dollar Tree are not too heavy, so this doesn't have to be super heavy duty, but it worked in the end. So I have 3 trays, all different sizes, super rustic, that can hold these little animals. Then I decided I kind of wanted it to have feet, my little tray, right? So I'm going to use some of these wood stems from Dollar Tree, try to find 4 that are about the same height, and then I'm just going to hot glue 4 little legs onto our tray. I know some of you guys were saying you were having a hard time finding those at your store, and my store is very hit or miss with them too, but sometimes when I can't find them at my store, I do buy those on Amazon, and I think I do have those linked in my Amazon shop below. This is how my little tray turned out. It's not how I originally envisioned it, but we're gonna make it work. Now these are what I found at Dollar Tree today. I've never seen them before. There's a little hedgehog pumpkin. He's kind of missing a spike, but I don't think you'll be able to see. Isn't he so cute? And I knew I had to include these in this video today. So I'm gonna put him right there on our bottom little wood slice. Up next is a little blue pumpkin that looks like a raccoon. Isn't he so adorable? So we're going to use that here over on the side. And then a little orange pumpkin that looks like a fox. Have you guys seen these at your Dollar Trees before? I was so happy when I found these. I just had to have them. And I just wanted to find a fun way to display them. And these wood slices from the Dollar Tree worked out great. Just trying to make sure everything's sort of balanced. And then fill up some of the dead areas, kind of cover up some of the nails with just some of this brown like floral moss from Dollar Tree. It's a little messy, but it definitely gives you like a little touch of fall. And I think it looks really cute here. So here's our little Dollar Tree DIY guest tier tray with some pumpkins that look like little woodland animals. We have a fox, a raccoon, and I guess a little hedgehog pumpkin. I thought they were so cute. I hope you do too. And then if you want something that's more of a traditional tier tray, that's what we're going to do next. We're going to do a 2-tier tray. I love this 2-tier tray. I got it on Amazon. I think it's beautiful. I love the rectangular shape. And we are going to give it a woodland animal makeover here. So the first step, I'm going to use reindeer moss from Dollar Tree because I kind of want to give it the feeling of a forest floor. And this is the tier tray that I did for fall last year. And so I loved it. It woodland animals, so I wanted to include it in today's video as well. So I'm just going to break up the reindeer moss here all over. I think it looks just like moss you would find in the forest, and kind of do like a little bed of that on the top and also on the bottom before we start decorating this to look like woodland animals and a little forest. I think this looks really cool. Just trying to break it up, trying to have enough to kind of be peeking out wherever I'm going to kind of need it. And then we can start decorating it. The first step is I wanted to do a fun little fall tree on my tier tray. And I decided to do it with the blue leaves from Dollar Tree just because I love blue. I thought it would be fun. But you could do it with more traditional colors as well. So the first step is I am just cutting my tags off, and then I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree twine, and I'm going to tie that to the middle pole of my tier tray to try to make that look like a tree. You might have to use your imagination. But I thought like the wood pole could be the tree, and then all the fall leaves could be my little blue fall leaves. Super fun. Just a matter of holding those in place and tying them on with some Dollar Tree twine, which was a little tricky, and I might have needed a third hand here. But once I get one knot, it was a little bit easier. I just want enough just to kind of keep that in place and for it not to fall over like that. So I decided to do a second row of twine here to make sure that doesn't happen again. And then I'll cover all that to kind of make it look more like a tree. And so you won't see all the plastic pieces of the leaves. Now for my tree, I'm going to use some of this great birch ribbon from Dollar Tree. I love this stuff. I think it's so cool. And it's going to give it like that bark image on the tree. And I think that's going to work out great. Isn't it cool? I love DIYing with this, especially for fall. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut off some pieces that I can use to wrap around that top tier pole to cover up all of the plastic. Gonna take my hot glue gun and just kind of assemble it here on my tier tray. Kind of have to do that. I just glue it to itself, and I'm gonna make a little faux tree trunk right here in the middle of my tier tray. It's gonna hide all the plastic parts of my leaves. And then I cut 2 of those pieces, so now I can go in with the second piece to make my tree a little taller. And I think that's a fun little effect for the top of my tier tray. That is how it turned out, with all my blue leaves peeking out at the top. Up next, I wanted to make a cute little banner for my tier tray. I always think that's so fun. So I'm going to use some Dollar Tree twine and some Dollar Tree ribbon. This is actually from Easter. I buy it every year because I love it because it's nice and blue and white. I can use it for coastal. I can use it for whatever. And since we kind of have a blue theme going on this little woodland creatures tier tray, I'm going to cut little blue pennant banners. I'm avoiding the wire parts. I just want the ribbon parts. Just cutting enough triangles to make a cute little pennant banner to go on the front of the tier tray. I think that always gives your tier tray so much personality when it has one of these. So I cut down 5. I usually like to do odd numbers like that. I just found the middle of my twine, and we are simply just going to hot glue these on, just kind of spacing them out evenly, the best that we can. It's just going to be a very rustic little mini pennant banner. Just a few more pieces here. And I love making these. I make these for my coffee bar. I make them for my tier trays. Anytime I can add a little banner, I'm definitely going to do it. Super cute and really fun for a little pop of blue. And I just hang that on the top. I just do a little dot of hot glue on both sides of my tier tray so I don't really damage anything, but that's going to hold it in place, give it a little color, and look fun there on the front of our little woodland animal tier tray. Now, this is a thrift find. I found this half price at Goodwill, and you can tell it's been broken. It looks really old, and I absolutely love it. It's made out of like a cast, like it's made out of maybe plaster or Paris or something like that. But look how it looks like it's all carved. I think it's so pretty. So he's the star of my show. I got him for like $1 and I just put him right on the front. Now, remember this little guy? This is the one they had last year. So it was a squirrel holding a pine cone instead of an acorn. And yes, I know the difference. I know. I called pine cones, acorns in my candle video. A million of you guys have told me. It was like 3 a.m. when I had to do that voiceover. So forgive me. I know they were pine cones. I know. I tried to go in and edit it, but once you've got sound up on YouTube, there is no editing. So I think he's going to look really cute there on the tier tray. Up next, these mushrooms. I got these in every color this year, but these are the blue ones. I think they're so cute, and I think they go great with like a forest theme or with woodland animals for fall. So I'm just going to use a couple of those to decorate our tier tray. Now, on their own, they don't like want to stand up on their own because the bottom is a little bit rounded and they're very lightweight because they're made out of foam. So I'm just going to make little bases for mine with the little wood cubes from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree, just to make the bottom heavy, make the bottom flat, and I can kind of hide that down in all the moss that we have going on the tray. But just in case I can't, I'm going to go ahead and attach a little moss with just hot glue there going around the edges to kind of disguise those. Just kind of a problem solver there to get those to stand up on their own and to weigh them down on the bottom, which is going to be necessary for them to stand upright. So I just take that same reindeer moss that we used on the tier tray and just hot glue it along the bottom on all 3. These were so cute. I wanted to use all of them on the tier tray. So I'm going to do one up here on the top, opposite our little squirrel we added. And then maybe a couple on the bottom. I did have a little bit of extra reindeer moss from that, so I'm going to add that to my tray as well to make it super full. So the other 2 are going to go down here on the bottom, maybe one on each side. Up next, I checked the pet aisle and I found a little dog toy that's actually a squirrel. So hey, I'm going to take advantage of that. I think he's going to look super cute on our tier tray, and he even squeaks. Some of their dog toys can be kind of ugly, but I think he's kind of cute, and I'm a big fan of squirrels, so I had to have him. Isn't he cute? So I think he'll look really cute on there. Even though it's like a stuffed animal, I like to use those sometimes on my tier trays because I think it's fun. So we're going to put him back there in the back because he's nice and tall. He can be our little squirrel on the bottom. Up next, this little guy is from Dollar Tree. They have these again this year. The little, I guess it's a hedgehog, right? Holding an apple. And he's so, so, so cute. Now, the apple's not painted great, and I had some red paint that I darkened a little bit, and we're just going to kind of update the paint on him, kind of like we did before with the pine cone on the raccoon. So he's also got like a little bit of a skinned up nose. Sometimes you can find these at the Dollar Tree, and they're not perfect, but we're going to try to touch him up a little bit and just make him look a little bit better. I didn't have any paint that color though, so I'm trying to use a little bit of Ivory and a little bit of Antique Wax by Waverly to try to kind of get close to that color, just so I can kind of patch him up a little bit. I don't want his nose to look all skinned up like that. And I just kind of paint the tip of his nose. It's not the same color, but I think it looks better than a chip. And he's got little sleepy eyes on him. I think he's so cute. And I just had to have him on this little fall tier tray. Look at that big grin. I love these things. They're so adorable. I think they're great quality for $1.25 as well. We're going to place him right in front because he's a little bit shorter than our stuffed squirrel back there. And keep on finding items. Now, this was a Halloween costume from the Dollar Tree. It is the raccoon mask. And I saw it and I said, I wonder if I could make something for my woodland animal tier tray with this. And so I'm going to give it a go. It's just like the little mask part of a raccoon that they're so famous for. So I'm just going to cut the strap off of the mask. And I just want to kind of display that as is because it definitely looks like a cute little raccoon to me. But I want it to stand up since it's going to be on a tier tray. So I'm just going to simply glue the mask onto one of these little Five Below Jenga blocks that I love to craft with. And it'll make just a very easy little stand here. I wasn't sure if it would fall over or not. So I take a couple of the Dollar Tree Jenga blocks too, glue those together, and kind of glue that to the back just to make sure that it stands straight up. Kind of doing like an upside down T brace there. But I thought this would be really fun on the tier tray. You can kind of just see straight through. You're going to get that little raccoon mask effect. And I think that's going to look really fun on the tier tray. Who knew that you could craft with Dollar Tree costumes for your tier tray, right? I'm going to have him right here in the back because he's nice and tall, peeking out a little raccoon mask. Now, I thought we needed a tier tray, so I'm going to use some of the little wood foxes from Dollar Tree and then a little Dollar Tree fall sign. I picked this one because it was blue, and I thought that would be cute. It would go with our blue theme on our tier tray. And I'm just going to pop off the little pumpkin that's kind of sticking out, trying to minimize the damage to the paper if I can. And then this is the little fox ornament that I need to cover up that area. So I think we can make this work. They do have little holes in them, but I'm going to try to fill that up and just do a cute little fall seam. I do use a little glue stick there just to try to glue my paper down, clean it up a little bit, and then fill that hole in with some spackle. Wanted to make sure this was going to work and which direction I wanted it to be so it's going to make it work the best before I put my spackle in there. And I think I decided. So I'm going to put it in this way from the back. That way it won't be super messy on the other side. And I wish they would make those ornaments without having a hole drilled into the heads because a lot of times you want to use them for crafting. You don't want to hang them. I hardly ever hang the ornaments from Dollar Tree. Now, it is a great wood, so I'm just going to go ahead and stain that with some Antique Wax by Waverly just to have a little wood fox for this cute little sign. And that way it's really pretty, the stained wood, and then you don't really have to go through and paint it all the different colors of the fox. so it makes it a little easier. I just do a thin coat of antique wax by Waverly all over, and then wipe off the excess with a paper towel, like that beautiful wood grain behind it. Now, the frame on this existing sign is about the same color, so that's going to work really well. I do have to glue it exactly where I need to cover up the damage to the paper because I really liked the blue like wallpaper background there. So I did kind of have to off-center my little fox and the fox sign, but that's okay because then I have room for words, right? So I'm going to use the little Scrabble tiles from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to find the letters to spell out the word fall. I always pick those up when I see them because sometimes, you have to have several packages to find all the letters that you're going to need. They also have them in black and white. I don't like those as well. I like these more traditional Scrabble tiles. They go with my crafting a little bit better. I was wondering, though, if I could stain them a little bit to make them a little bit darker to go with that. They are coated with like a lot of sealant, so I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but it's an experiment. I thought maybe we could add a little antique wax by Waverly distressing on these, just to give them a little bit more color, maybe a little bit more wood grain, and it actually worked a little bit. So just distressing in one direction, and then kind of cleaning those up with a paper towel to wipe off any excess, and it did make them a little bit more colorful, and they're going to match that darker color of wood that we stained before. So it's going to go nicely right over here on the side where I have all this extra room. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue those in place, just kind of spacing them out by eye, just as even as I can get them. Great way to add a word to a sign, and you get that fun little Scrabble touch as well. So there he is, our little fall fox sign. Perfect size for a tier tray and super easy to DIY. We're going to put this right down here in the bottom in front of the post. Now, I also got one of the Dollar Tree foxes from Dollar Tree last year too, and this one has the little apple instead of the mushroom, so they did change them this year. Just now noticing that they're all holding different items, but otherwise they look really similar. And I'm just going to go ahead and update the color of this apple too, just because I did before. I just made it a little bit darker, just personal preference. But you can totally use it, leave it bright red if you have one of these as well. I kind of like the items they're holding this year a little bit better. I did get some paint on my little fox. I'm going to have to clean him up a little bit. The fox is holding the mushroom this year, and the squirrel is holding the acorn, which makes a little bit more sense. But I think that looks really cute. So we're going to put him on the little woodland animal tier tray too. Down here on the bottom, opposite of our little hedgehog. Going to make some room in the moss for him. And he's so cute with his little sleepy eyes. I think this tier tray is really coming together. I'm just going to go ahead and finish it off with a little bit more moss I had left over just to make sure it is nice and full. And I think it really reminds me of the woods with our little tree. We have an owl, a squirrel, 2 squirrels, some foxes, a hedgehog. I love it. Now for the next set of DIYs, we're going to switch over and we're going to do some neutral fall DIYs. For the first DIY, I want to DIY one of the little stencil pumpkin signs from the Dollar Tree, making it a larger sign using some craft wood also from the Dollar Tree. So there's a few steps I want to get started. The first thing I want to do is just iron out some burlap. This is the burlap from Dollar Tree. And the way they fold it up, I just find that it's so much easier to craft with if you iron it first. It's going to get rid of all those pesky little creases on there. Now I want to cover a larger sign with burlap, and we're just going to create our own sign with some of the craft boards from Dollar Tree. I like putting two of these together. It's real wood. It doesn't bow. Nice. You can see how thick that is, and they're pretty square. So I'm just going to do a bead of hot glue on one and butt it up against another one, pushing those together, and you have a custom-made sign. It's a really great size to craft with because it's pretty much a square. And I think that's going to be a great size to put that little slatted pumpkin sign from the Dollar Tree. So once I get this all built and dried, I'm going to go ahead and make a hanger. Now, while it's easier, just by taking some Dollar Tree twine, tying a knot on each end, and then I'm just going to staple that with my staple gun to the back of the wood. This wood is so thick you can totally use a staple gun on it. And we already got the hanger taken care of. Now, I told you I wanted to cover the front of this sign with burlap, that burlap that we just ironed. And so let me show you how I'm going to do that. This is just a scrap piece of the Dollar Tree burlap. I'm going to put down a nice hefty coat of Mod Podge. And I want it nice and thick because gluing the burlap down can be a little bit challenging. So I just lay it on there, smooth it out, making sure it is good and stuck all over. And then I thought, to make it easier to cut with no fraying, I probably should up the Mod Podge at least around the edges. And so that is what I do to make sure that area, when I cut it, it's not going to fray and it's going to give me a nice clean cut. And that worked out really well. Now for the pumpkin. I wanted to do something that would contrast against the burlap and be neutral. And so I decided to make it ivory. And so this is the antique parchment acrylic paint by Apple Barrel. And I am just going to do one coat all over the front of this pumpkin. And then we're going to be using some of the Dollar Tree fall stencils to stencil a design on. So I thought this one would be perfect. It says Hello Pumpkin. You get two of them in a package for $1.25. So there's also one on there for Thanksgiving. And I'm really loving all the stencils they have for fall. I love these plastic ones more than the stickers, I think. Now, I kind of wanted to do like a neutral brown color, and I'm going to get that with mixing some antique wax by Waverly with that antique parchment, just to give me this nice neutral brown color. And then I am just laying that against my sign. I'm not taping it down or anything, and I just go over all of the words with one of those little stencil daubers from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to do like one good coat on that. I thought we could do the pumpkin in a different color just to give it a little bit of variety. And I also kind of colored in the slat behind if that was going to be part of a letter to make sure that that stays continuous. And then for the pumpkin, I'm just using Cloudless by Apple Barrel, a very soft light blue color. I give it a quick dry with my heat gun, and this is how it looks. I did get a little bit of bleeding on the words, but I'm not too concerned about it because my plan was to distress it anyway. So the first thing I do is just go over everything with a sanding sponge. And then I also distress it even more with some more of that antique parchment to kind of break it up. And that really helped the bleeding kind of look like it went more with the distressing. And now this is closer to being dry, but I'm going to help it out a little bit. I wanted to kind of spread out that extra Mod Podge I did around the edges to make sure that that is going to dry clear. And it sure did. And now we can start cutting this out. I'm just going to use like my super sharp fabric scissors and just cut as close as I can to the side of the sign. And this was actually really easy. I can't remember who told me to, I think a couple of you guys told me to dry Mod Podge on there to cut the burlap from Dollar Tree to prevent fraying, and it really works. So thank you. So I want to attach the little Hello Pumpkin sign to the front of it, and I'm just going to do that with some hot glue on both of the slats there on the back, pressing it down and kind of doing it towards the bottom of the sign so I can decorate the top. I wanted to use a lot of lamb's ear today. I'm really excited that Dollar Tree has been carrying lamb's ear, and I think this is great for all seasons. I really like using it for fall decor. I used a lot of it on my tier tray that I did a very similar theme to what we're doing today. The other day, you'll have to see that tier tray. It turned out so beautiful. And I'm just taking some right off the lamb's ear from Dollar Tree. They come in all different shapes and sizes, as you can see there. And I'm just kind of messing with it until I like it. I also thought one of these little burlap flowers from the Dollar Tree would be cute just to decorate the stem of the pumpkin. And so I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue those in place. And I really love how these colors were together. The flower is kind of a little bit of a surprise on a fall DIY, but I really like how it turned out. Now I'm mixing a little of the cloudless with ivory together with a little tiny bit of leaf green, just because I wanted a little bit of a greenish tint to my pumpkin, because I'm doing some other DIYs today and I have more of a blue-green pumpkin instead of just a blue pumpkin. So I just used a small brush just to kind of update my color a little bit until I was happy with it. And I really think that is all it needs. I like the fact that it has a flower and the lamb's ear at the top instead of like fall leaves. It's a nice surprise. And you guys know I love burlap. Anything with burlap, I think it looks so cute. So once I got my color updated, I just distressed that with the antique parchment as well. So it kind of matches their vibe of everything else. And this fall DIY is complete. So this is how it turned out. We have our little DIY sign back there we covered with burlap with our little slatted Hello Pumpkin sign. I like the colors. I like the surprise of the blue pumpkin. I always like to throw in a little blue here and there if I can. And this is really going to be a lot of our color scheme today for these neutral fall DIYs. And now on to the next one. I wanted to try to find a fun, creative way to cover one of these pumpkin wreath forms from Dollar Tree. I've done several different things with these, and this is probably the easiest thing I've ever done with one of these. I'm going to take the burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start on the middle section right here, and I'm just trying to figure out kind of the angle I want that to be at. But what I'm going to do is start the burlap roll there on the back of the stem by just gluing the metal frame down to the ribbon. And my plan was to like zigzag wrap two of them together with the burlap ribbon and then kind of work it in kind of like macrame, but with this large burlap. And you'll see what I mean here in just a minute. So I left all of my burlap on the roll. It makes it a little bit easier that way. Just making sure that this is good and dry so that I can kind of tug on it and pull it tight. And as you can see, I kind of go down diagonally back and forth until I cover that section of the pumpkin. I'm going to pull this through. And then I'm going to do each individual section of the pumpkin separately. I found that it was easier just to cut it and to glue it. Now here on the bottom, it worked out really well because it glued over the wire. And so you won't be able to see that. But there's some other areas like on the top. The way that it's set up, I'm going to have to go back and cover that up. But my plan is to cover up all of the metal wire, so I don't really care that it's that like dark color because you're not going to be able to see it in the end. So I'm going to start my next row right here to the left just by gluing that under. And then I'm going to go through that same area we were just in and see how we're going to zigzag back and forth by pulling the burlap roll through, and that is going to cover up all of the wire. So that was my plan, was to try to get it all covered up. And something really simple, but it gives like a really cool vibe to this pumpkin. I've done like the wood beads. I've seen people do fabric and stuff like that. And I've done macrame on these. And this is definitely a fun technique. So I definitely recommend it. Now I got the first two done, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one over here, kind of working from the inside out. And again, I just zigzag that through, covering up the hole, and then kind of ending it on the back, on the top. And I just hot glue that in place and then just trim the burlap down. If it doesn't sit flat, I just come back here and fold off the bottom to make it flatter because it's a little wide for the base. So we're just going to keep doing that until we cover the entire pumpkin. Again, just working inside to out so I know exactly where my roll needs to be. And I'm pulling it through tight, but not real tight. Just a little bit of play so that I can kind of move it around a little bit when it comes to the next row. Now, if you wanted to do 2 of these and put them back to back, you can make a really cool centerpiece. I have done that with a macrame, with 2 of them with macrame. But I'm going to make this for a door hanging. And the thing I love about this pumpkin wreath from the Dollar Tree is that it is so large. Like, this is really a significant piece. So we have almost everything covered. We just have the 2 side pieces. And we're going to kind of do the same thing on those. You do have to kind of guess your angles here. And I'm just going to kind of wrap it around. I can always go back and tighten the bottom there, where it's not sitting like real circular or close. I just trim the burlap down and kind of glue that to itself. And basically I want to cover up all of the wire. I don't want any of that to be visible. And as you can see, the burlap ribbon is doing a really good job. So I'm going to do the same thing over here on the left. And then I just need to kind of go back and cover all the wire around the edges and the top where you can still see that. But the bottom is all covered, so that worked out well. So you kind of have to be creative here on the sides, kind of play with it and see what's going to work. I just kind of wrapped mine around and glued it to it. And we're just going to cover up this little section here on the side that doesn't really have anything, just kind of one section at a time. I just trim that and kind of hot glue that in place, and then I can trim it and kind of wrap it around. Really no rhyme or reason. I just want to cover up the wire. I guess you could always use rope or something like that too if you wanted to frame yours out with rope, but I really wanted to just kind of stick to the burlap. Now, it's time to kind of do the same thing here on the top. I was just trying to figure out what would be the best way to do this. And so I just glue it to the back, glue it down, and then I'm also trying to glue it over the area there at the top of the pumpkin stem. And I just kind of make that work. And I really don't want all this excess burlap on the back either, so I'm just going to trim that as I go. And here is another section on the top that really kind of needs something. So I just kind of glue that on there. I don't want to overlap our design on the front too much. And then I just keep doing that all the way around. Over here on the side, I just really needed a small piece. And so I just glued that around until all of the wires covered except for the pumpkin stem. And my plan is to do something different with that, just to bring in a little bit more color. But we are still going to have the burlap. One more little hole right down here. And isn't that like a cool way to cover it? I think it looks really cool. And it was so easy. It was probably the fastest way I've ever done one of these little pumpkin wreaths. Now for the pumpkin stem, I thought we'd use some of the Dollar Tree white nautical rope. This is the 6 foot. And I'm going to need 2 or 3 rows to make it wide enough to make a pumpkin stem. So I'm just going to kind of put those side by side, starting over here on the left side of the stem. I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue that right directly onto the wire. And then I'm going to make it longer so it'll kind of curl off to the side, because this is a really large pumpkin. It really needs a large pumpkin stem. The next piece, I just kind of glue it to the piece next to it because it really didn't have a lot to glue to. And then the third piece I can glue over to the right side of the wire, just cutting all 3 of those ropes down to size. Then I'm just going to glue them side to side here at the top so they'll all be attached to each other. And I want it to look like a large pumpkin stem. So I kind of glue it where it kind of twists and turns a little bit too, but nothing too crazy. And I think that looks pretty cool. I'm glad that it's a different color than the burlap. It's going to break up the color in that a little bit. I'm also going to go ahead and make a hanger. I probably should have done this before because I've kind of got everything glued up, so that's okay. I just take some twine and I tie a knot, and I'm just going to glue that to the back. This is very lightweight. That burlap was very lightweight, so there's really not a lot to this. This would be great for a door because it's so lightweight. You're not going to have a heavy banging thing on your door when you're opening it and shutting it. So that is solved. We have a hanger on it. Then I thought it'd be fun to add a fall word. These are those little galvanized metal words from the Dollar Tree. And since I'm going to do mine on my front door, I thought welcome would be really cute. So I'm just going to kind of center that on the front of the pumpkin. I'm going to let it be flat, just gluing it in place, in two places here, to kind of glue it against the two wire pieces sticking up. But I'm not going to wrap it around or anything like that. Now, to decorate the top of the pumpkin, I thought it would be fun to use some of these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. These come in like the tan and the white burlap. They also come in 2 different sizes. So since we've already done the brown burlap, I thought it would be cute to do some leaves with the white burlap. It's going to go really nicely with the rope up here. And I can also kind of cover up the end of the rope there. I don't really need that to look all gnarly down there like I kind of want it to at the top. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue these leaves in place. I am going to add to that and add some more leaves to it here in just a minute. Now, no blue on this DIY, just a lot of burlap and textures and fun, very neutral. That's when I was like, you know what? I really should have painted the welcome word because you really could not read the galvanized metal against the burlap. It just didn't stand out at all. So I'm going to try painting these, even though it is a little bit difficult. So the first thing I do is go over the whole thing with Mod Podge. I guess the secret to that is it just kind of helps the paint to stick to the metal a little bit because it's hard to paint these because they like to scratch and stuff like that. But I'm just going to still need a couple of coats. So I'm doing that antique parchment, ivory color, acrylic, and just going over this until I cover all the metal. It likes to kind of, peek through a little bit, looking like a metal distress. So I try to get it as good as I can. And I switched to a brush. I found that the brush worked a little bit better for getting coverage on that because, again, it's a little tricky to paint. So I'm going to go ahead and reattach it to our pumpkin just like we had before. And I think that looks so much better. You can totally read it now. We have a nice contrast. And it goes with all the ivory that we used at the top of the pumpkin. So I'm just going to glue my little L and my M back to those front bars. Again, leaving the word flat. I'm not going to have it wrap around the arch of the pumpkin or anything like that. I think it looks better like this. And then I want some lamb's ear on this project too. So this is some of the lamb's ear from Dollar Tree. And the great thing about this is that you can just kind of pull the leaves off and get these individual leaves to work with. And there's all different shapes and sizes. So I'm going to kind of like nestle those in between the little burlap leaves that we had before until I have, lots of greenery here at the top of our pumpkin. Gives it a little bit of color, a little bit of character, and I love those fuzzy leaves on the lamb's ear. They're my favorite. One more large one over here on the side. And just kind of gluing those all in place that they will lay properly. And maybe one more burlap ribbon or leaf. And this is how it turned out, our little welcome burlap pumpkin sign. I absolutely love it. I had no idea if that technique was going to work, but look how cool it turned out. And it was really very simple to put together. I spent more time, I think, painting the welcome word than I did wrapping the entire wreath with burlap. And it's kind of a cool pattern, right? And it's really large. That's one thing I love about those pumpkin wreaths from the Dollar Tree. Back to the DIYs. We're going to take one of the little foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree and do something really cute. So I always like the white ones. I always try to pick up the white ones because especially if you're going to cover it with like burlap or something with holes in it, you're going to be able to see that through. So the first thing I do is just take the little stem off the foam pumpkin and pop a hole in the top. And then this is just an extra piece of burlap from the Dollar Tree that I have already ironed. And I am going to go ahead and just do one corner using my scissors to kind of pull that down inside the pumpkin. I always like to try to cut off the excess material, but I went all the way across, grabbed the corner, and I'm going to press that in there too. And then these two side pieces are a little bit trickier because you want to kind of try to get them as tight as you can before you do the last piece here. Again, I'm going to trim off the excess fabric and just trying to pull that as tight up against the pumpkin as I can so I don't have any, like a lot of excess fabric like sticking out, kind of messing with the shape of the pumpkin. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I kind of tuck the side pieces first, gather it all together, trim off any excess material, kind of gather it as tight as I can, and then just shove all that fabric down inside of the pumpkin. And I had a really fun idea what to do with this little burlap pumpkin today. I thought it'd be really fun to decorate it with mushrooms. I love decorating with mushrooms, especially for fall. I think it's so cute. So I thought we could top the burlap pumpkin with a little mushroom scene. So I'm just trying to get that as tight as I possibly can, and until I'm happy with it. Now I do want to leave like the whole side up. That's going to be a place for my pumpkin stem. And I kind of wanted to do something bigger than the little wood sticks from the Dollar Tree. So I'm using the wood stems. They come in all different shapes and sizes. And I just pick out one with a lot of bark, kind of curves a little bit. That I think should be a good pumpkin stem. Just trying to figure out which way I want it. And you can kind of shove it down inside your hole. That's also going to cinch the material and make it tighter. I'm also going to use a little hot glue to help reinforce it before I kind of force it down in there. But I wasn't going to do a pumpkin stem on this because I have plans to decorate the top of it. But I really think every pumpkin needs a pumpkin stem. It's really going to kind of spell out what it is, that it's a pumpkin. Now, to top it, I kind of wanted like a forest floor scene of mushrooms. So I'm going to use some of this brown moss from the Dollar Tree. I find that this stuff is messier than any of the other mosses that I've used from the Dollar Tree, like reindeer moss and stuff like that. But I really enjoy this brown color when it comes to fall decor. It really kind of looks like the color of like leaf litter, like on a forest floor. So I just work one section at a time, and I'm going to try to hot glue that all down. I definitely want to try to hot glue it in place so it doesn't fall off because as you can see, it's a little messy for sure. And I just keep working around until I have a nice space where I can put some little mushrooms for fall. And I have some plans to do some more mushroom DIYs this week. I'm thinking about doing a mushroom tier tray for Halloween. I think that sounds kind of fun. My son was like, do it, spooky mushrooms. So we will see. So that looks good. So I think we're ready for the mushrooms. Now these are from the Dollar Tree. You get 8 of these adorable little wooden mushrooms, and I thought we could paint them. I think we're going to do a total of 5 of these. I think that's going to be plenty. So I start with just some of the ivory acrylic, and what I'm doing is just painting the stem and the underside of the all of them this color, and then I can go back and color the tops. I'm going to mix it up and do like different colors, but I want all of the stems and underside of all 5 of them just to be ivory. Now I'm going to do 2 of them in blue. So what I did was mix some of that cloudless together with ivory for a super light blue color. Kind of goes with that neutral fall decor really well. And we are going to do 2 of the mushrooms in that light blue color. And then we're going to do the other 3 in just ivory, just to kind of keep them simple. I don't want anything too colorful going on this one. I want to stay with the neutral colors. And one thing I like by tossing in the little blue here and there, it's going to make it go with the rest of the coastal decor and the colors in my home. Now I use the end of the paintbrush and dip that in paint to do some very simple little polka dots on the top of the blue mushrooms. Super cute little spotted mushroom. I won't need to do that with the ivory, just the two blue ones. And I find that the tip of a skinny paintbrush from the Dollar Tree like this works great for little polka dots. Now let's attach these to our moss. They are just the right size for this size pumpkin. And I'm just going to kind of scatter them around. I don't want it to be too symmetrical. I kind of want to mix up the blues a little bit because I only have 2 of those. And I'm just gluing those flat on the top of the pumpkin, kind of pushing them down inside the moss a little bit. So it kind of comes up a little bit on the sides of the mushrooms. And I'm so glad I decided to make this pumpkin. I think it turned out so cute. I really enjoy the mushrooms for sure. And we're going to have another mushroom project later on in this video. So as you can see, I didn't do it symmetrical on purpose because I wanted it to kind of look random, like mushrooms would be growing. And then I'm going to fill it in with a little bit more moss. Speaking of mushrooms, everywhere I've been going the last couple of days, mushrooms everywhere. We've been having a lot of rain here in Florida. I mean, a lot of rain. We have a lot of flooding and there are mushrooms just popping up everywhere. So I guess they really are fall decor here. So this is how it turned out, our little burlap Dollar Tree pumpkin with the cutest little mushrooms on top. I think that turned out so fun and a really fun creative idea for fall. I did a pretty good job of keeping my fabric taut. That's kind of the only challenging part when you're covering a pumpkin like that with burlap. But again, you can see through it, so you're probably going to want a white pumpkin or one that you can paint. Okay, the next DIY, we're going to do like some more lamb's ear, some of the little acorn picks from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a fun little fall floral arrangement using a Dollar Tree vase and some burlap. For the burlap, I'm going to use one of these little burlap craft bags they have from Dollar Tree. And I've already used this one for another DIY, so I still have one side of the bag that's going to be great to craft with. And this has the plastic coating on the back, makes it super easy to cut, no fraying or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut the handle off just so I can keep that nice seamed edge to use along the top of my vase. And I want to cover that Dollar Tree vase with the burlap. So super easy. I'm just going to cut more of a straight line over here, kind of see how much fabric we need to cover it, cutting it down to size. Then I also need to cut it to the proper length. And I just use the vase for reference. So easy to attach it. I'm just going to hot glue on the inside of the burlap bag onto that plastic. It is plastic, but if you work quickly, you can definitely hot glue it. It's not going to melt or anything like that. Glue that to the side of the vase, and we're just going to simply wrap this around to give us a cute little burlap vase. And then I kind of wanted to decorate that a little bit more, and I thought it'd be really fun to wrap one of those little leather fall ornaments around it to give it a little bit more character. Now, I find that these leather items from the Dollar Tree are really kind of tricky to hot glue. And so I'm going to actually leave the little leather strap on it, doing the little grateful leaf, wrapping that around our little burlap vase, trying to make sure that my strap is sitting with like the brown leather side up. I like the contrast of that like chocolatey brown leather against the burlap. I think that looks cute. And I'll just hot glue the little knot here to the top of the vase on the back, right there along the seam, letting the little leaf come down here in the front. So I'm just going to hot glue it in a couple places just to kind of keep it in line, but otherwise it's kind of hanging. I'm not going to wrap it around the shape of it. I'm just going to leave it flat like this. and hopefully that will stay on there well. So there's the burlap vase, and now it's ready for some greenery. Now for the flowers, I'm using these. These are the summer sunflowers, so they're not fall, but I like the white flowers with the dark brown middles, so we're just going to make this work. So what I'm going to do that is I'm just going to remove all of that bright greenery off of each one, putting the flowers right back on. That way it's going to make it look a little bit more like fall. And then I'm going to use that right here in the vase. The next item is super cute. I think these are new this year from Dollar Tree. The little wooled acorns. So cute. I love the colors. They're super soft and fuzzy. And I think this is a great deal for $1.25. It's going to go great with those flowers. And I just kind of pushed that little acorn pick right down inside, kind of working it in between all of the white flowers. Now I want to keep my lamb's ear theme that we've been using today. And so I'm going to use a couple pieces of the Dollar Tree lamb's ear to replace the greenery that we took off of those flowers. So I'm just going to put those along the side. I'm going to do a total of 3. And these are just from Dollar Tree that I've already cut apart. And this is how it turned out. I think it's really cute. It really goes with, the lamb's ear and the burlap and a lot of the neutral colors that we've been using for the fall DIYs today. Super cute, super easy, and look how adorable those acorns are. I really love those. I might have to pick up some more of those and actually remove them from the pick. That might be great to use as a vase filler or bowl filler or something like that. That would be really cute. And I love those little leather fall tags. Adorable. And this is how it turned out. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment from today's video and let you know I've introduced memberships on my channel. For $4.99 a month, you're going to get early ad-free access to my videos like this one, and you're going to get a few other perks like shout-outs as well, and it's an easy way for you to support me here on YouTube. Okay, I told you guys we were going to do another mushroom craft. We're going to use the little blue mushrooms from the Dollar Tree, 2 of the little glass candle holders from the Dollar Tree, and 1 of these long wood signs. I thought this would be great for like a box tray that we can make for a centerpiece for fall. Now for the sides of the box, I don't want it to be very tall, so I'm going to use some of these little 5-gallon stir sticks that you get for a couple of dollars at Walmart, and they're the perfect length for this. Now they're not as thick as the frame of my sign is, so I'm actually going to have it just kind of have like a ledge on the end, and that'll kind of make it look like a fun detail. So I just kind of measure that from inside the frame to inside the frame on 2 of the pieces that I need to be long, and I'm just going to take those to my saw and cut the handles off of those, cutting those down to size. Just like that. And then the side pieces, I'm going to like kind of go all the way from one end to the other, so I need to kind of measure how long that needs to be. And I'm going to do the left and the right separately to make sure that I get them the right length. And that is my 3rd paint stick out of that package from Walmart. I really wish they would sell paint sticks like this at Dollar Tree. That would be really cool. Right about now, I need a 3rd hand to measure that, but we persevered. And I want to just make a long tray. This is going to be great for a tabletop, for a centerpiece, because you're not going to have a tall centerpiece. It's going to interfere with seeing people across the table. It's going to have candles, super cute, and a fun fall theme, something a little bit unexpected. Now to attach the walls of the box, I just do a bead of hot glue right there on the inside of the frame. And this is what I mean about kind of making a ledge. I pull it all the way up to the inside of the frame, and it provides like just a little lip. I go ahead and glue that in place. See the little lip? I thought that would give it a fun little detail. And then I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. And then the 2 end pieces will come on the end and kind of hold everything together. So gluing this one in place, trying to keep it as square as I can. And then we're ready to attach our side pieces. This is a little trickier because you also have to glue the sides too to kind of, you know, make your corners. So I'm going to work quickly to put a little bit of glue on the inside of both sides to glue that to the two longer pieces on the sides of the box. And I'm not going to do like any handles or anything on the side of this. I think it looks kind of cute as is, but you could totally add some handles to yours if you want. But I love making things out of these long wood signs from the Dollar Tree. They are just the perfect size. So we're going to glue this side on, trying to keep it square, adding a little hot glue to the middle if I need to, because that won't be visible in the final product. And I think this is going to be just the right size to do 3 of those little mushrooms from the Dollar Tree, plus those 2 little candles, which are in jars, so I should be able to burn this without any issue. So there is the little box with the very shallow sides. That way you'll be able to see all the cute stuff we're about to add to this. Now I want something to stand the mushrooms up on, and they're made out of foam, so they're very lightweight. So I need foam underneath each one of the mushrooms, so I have something to attach it to. So I'm just using the Dollar Tree foam, the little cubes, I guess, and just cutting those in half because otherwise they're going to be too tall. To give me 3 pieces for 3 mushrooms, and then we're going to do 2 of the little glass candles. These need nothing. They're ready to go, and I'm going to work those in between all 3 of the mushrooms. Just like that. And this is just the perfect size. I'm so glad. So to keep these in place, I just go ahead and hot glue those on to the base of the sign. Just with a little hot glue around the edges. And then I also want to hot glue the foam. Now, I kind of broke that all to pieces, but I'm going to go ahead and piece it back together because you're not going to be able to see it anyway, but I do need some foam there. And then I'm going to hot glue down the other 2 pieces as well. And my plan is to kind of stab the little mushrooms down into the foam, kind of like with a stake. And to do that, I'm going to use some toothpicks. But first, I'm going to cover it all with moss. Again, I'm using that brown moss from Dollar Tree. I really like this. I want this to look like the forest floor. Is really what I'm going with. So I'm just going to spread out a thin layer of this all over the tray, trying to cover up any of the foam or anything that you might see. Trying not to get all of it inside the candles if I can. And if I do, I can always blow it out. These are the mushrooms we're going to use. They're already blue with little white spots, so they're perfect. They have these in all different colors this year. Brown and yellows, blue, so cute. And then I grabbed 3 toothpicks from my kitchen, and I'm just going to simply poke those into the little foam mushrooms and then stab that down into the floral foam, keeping that in place so it won't be falling over because, again, they're very lightweight. And we're just going to have 3 mushrooms and 2 candles. And then we can kind of decorate the rest of the box with items that you would find like on a forest floor. So I thought a little greenery would be good. So I'm going to use lamb's ear and I'm going to separate it to look like little fallen leaves. And I think these are the perfect size and it's going to go with the lamb's ear that we've been using a lot on these neutral fall DIYs. So I'm just going to kind of scatter those around, really no rhyme or reason. I want it to look good on both sides. And I'm also going to be adding acorns from the Dollar Tree. So I think they have 2 different sizes of these. These are kind of the smaller ones that they have, but you can use whatever you have. And I'm just going to put a little bit more lamb's ear, scatter out acorns, not too many, but you know, 1 here and 1 there. So that's what we have so far. And then I wanted to add some burlap to it because we haven't added any burlap to this one. So I decided to do that with some of the little burlap ribbon. This is the one with like the ivory like circles. I have a partial roll and I'm going to need all of that and probably some of a new one since this is kind of a large box. I like the natural wood on the side of the sign and the paint stir sticks. So I'm just going to hot glue this right in the middle of it, just for a little burlap detail, but I don't really want to cover up all the wood on the side because I think it looks cool. So I just hot glue that with just a strip of hot glue, gluing that tight, and that's about how far I can get with that partial, but I'll have enough to do the other skinny side with that one too. So we're just going to glue that one in place too. And this just kind of frames it off, the box off, and gives it just a little bit more detail. I'm going to have to open up another row here to do this side. And I found it was a little better to work like half at a time because you don't want your hot glue setting up on you. So I think it looks really cute. I was just kind of thinking maybe a few more details on our forest floor. I try to stand my leaves up a little bit so you can see them a little bit more from the sides to give it a little bit more depth. And then I thought like maybe a little bit more lamb's ear and then maybe some like berries or something like that that might have fallen on the forest floor. So I have some of these little ivory greenery from these like fall berry pick. And I'm just going to go ahead and just pull off some of the individual berries and just kind of scatter them about. It's going to give a little bit of ivory to the project and another little detail. I don't want to go too crazy with the forest floor, but we have leaves, we have acorns, we have berries, and we have mushrooms. And I think they all work really well together. I'm going to save those berries because we're going to use that for another DIY today. But this is how it turned out, our little centerpiece candle holder. I love those mushrooms. I'm always trying to find a way to craft with them because I think they're so cute. And the blue ones, of course, are my favorite. But I think the paint stir sticks worked great for the sides of that tray. It made it nice and shallow so you can see all the cute things in it. And this is how it looks lit up. Adorable. Okay, I love this sign from the Dollar Tree. It says, "Live simply and be grateful." The colors are perfect because it has like a picture of burlap around the edges, has like a bluish pumpkin here in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and remove the little burlap bow. I'm going to save that for later. And I thought we could add some details from the Dollar Tree to kind of make this more of a 3D sign, bump everything out, and make it even prettier. So I got one of the little wood pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a pumpkin that kind of sticks out more 3D towards the front. That's going to kind of shield the one in the back. I kind of want to do it the same color. I don't really have this color though, so I'm mixing some cloudless, a tiny bit of green, and some ivory to try to get that like minty green color. And kind of wiping off the excess with a baby wipe just to give it a very light stain. I also want to do some shading there for like the creases of the pumpkin. And so I added a little bit more of like a darker blue to it, the turquoise, just to give it a little bit more color. Distressing that with a baby wipe as well to kind of blend it in. And I end up adding to this a little later on, but that's what we have so far with it. Just a very light stain. And then I thought we could just top the pumpkin and cover up the hanger at the top with that burlap ribbon that was already on the sign. Now to build it out a little bit, add some fun touches. We're going to start with these little burlap oak leaves from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to remove the wire off of these. And we can attach one of these to each side. It's going to be a fun little fall leaf. And then again, these are the little berry picks from the fall section at the Dollar Tree in Ivory. And they're all kind of bundled together, so I want them to be kind of smaller bundles so that I can kind of piece those together and put them right where I want them. but I don't want like a huge mass sticking out. I want it to be a little bit flatter, the little pieces that I can use to decorate the sign. And this sign is already so cute, but adding all the little touches to it to kind of make it look more 3D really brought it out and made it really fun. Just trying to figure out how I could bump the pumpkin out a little bit so it can be bumped out more than everything else. I think that would be cute. And then we'll have the bow attached to it, just like that. Now for a little greenery, I'm going to use the lamb's ear from Dollar Tree again. I've pretty much went through all of my lamb's ear from Dollar Tree. I'm going to have to stock up on this again. I love it. I use it all the time. And I think I have a plan. I just need something to work as a spacer. So I'm going to use one of these little wood puzzle pieces from the Dollar Tree. You won't be able to see it back there, but it's going to lift up my pumpkin enough so that I can glue some greenery and things underneath of it. So I first start with the lamb's ear. And I'm going to kind of cover up the sunflowers on there and a lot of the greenery that's on there, but some of it will be peeking out from behind these little burlap leaves on the side. And I just kind of overlap those on top of the lamb's ear, going out in the same directions. And then I really didn't think that you could see the sections on this, so I add a little bit more ivory distressing on the sections, this time going lighter instead of darker, to see if that could make it look a little bit more 3D. And then I'm going to glue that to the star and gluing the star down to the pumpkin. It's almost the same size as the pumpkin that was on the sign. And then to cover the little hole on top, we're using that same bow that was on the pumpkin before. I think it's going to be perfect. I'm just going to kind of shape it and trim it to make it look a little better and hot glue it right there on top of the little ornament hole there. Now for the little berries, I'm going to fill in that section there at the bottom to cover up the flowers and stuff like that and just kind of make it look really nice and soft. I'm also going to add some more of the lamb's ear. So I'm going to pull off some more pieces and we're going to kind of layer all of these together, hot gluing everything down as well. With the little pumpkin bumped out, it's great because you can just glue the little stems for the greenery right underneath. And it kind of covers up any of the things that you don't want to see. And now it's just a matter of attaching all of the berries. I'm going to kind of keep them all on the bottom. And I just attach this with hot glue until we fill in this section here at the bottom. And this is just a fun way to take a little $1.25 sign from Dollar Tree and just take it up a notch, make it so much more special. I want a little bit more lamb's ear, so I'm going to do a couple more pieces, kind of layering it underneath the burlap leaves, kind of sticking out to the sides. And I love how all these colors work together. Absolutely beautiful. And this will be great because you can have this up all the way through Thanksgiving. Now, I told you I was going to add to this. I still kind of wanted more of a 3D look to this pumpkin, and so I decided to use some of this cloudless paint, just the plain blue, and do just a little bit more contour there. And I really like that kind of two-tone look. That definitely helped. And this is how it turned out. Live simply and be grateful. That is great advice. And I'm so glad that they knew how to spell grateful because my other fall sign from them this year, they misspelled that word. But this is how it turned out. And I really liked adding the second color to that little pumpkin. I think it has so much more character now. Super cute. You could use this sign anywhere. I think I'll be hanging mine in my kitchen. Now check out this cute little squirrel sign I got at the Dollar Tree today. I've never seen that before. It was in the fall section. I picked up that and one of the acorn signs. Now this one's already got glitter and an image on it. I'm just going to cover all of that up with some cheap contact paper from the Dollar Tree. You could get the plain acorn that's just plain raw wood. It is a little bit smaller than this one though. That's why I chose this one, but it doesn't matter. Because again, I'm just going to cover all that up by sticking that contact paper to the back And then I'm going to go in with a sanding sponge from Dollar Tree to trim that down to size. Now, it was a little tricky because it was kind of big, and I had to go around like the acorn cap and stuff like that. But I'm just going to kind of take it one section at a time, cutting that down to size. And that's just going to give us a finished back to our DIY, make everything look good, and seal up any glitter and stuff that's on the back of that. I wanted to do a really easy like burlap neutral color acorn sign, and then I thought we could attach that really cute little squirrel that I got at the Dollar Tree today. They also had a hedgehog. I've never seen either one of them. Absolutely adorable. So that looks pretty good. I just kind of have to clean up the sides a little bit, and then we can decorate the back of this acorn. You can kind of see how large this one is. It's pretty tall. And what I want to do is cover it with white burlap. So this is also from the Dollar Tree. I have a scrap piece of the white burlap, and I'm going to go ahead and, again, just give that a quick iron. It's going to make it easier to work with. And we're going to start by covering the entire acorn with the white burlap, and then we'll add to it. You can kind of see what I'm going to use for the top of the acorn. I'm going to be using those burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. So I went and grabbed like every package I own because I thought I might need a few. Now I'm just going to Mod Podge down the burlap by doing a coat all over the acorn and smoothing the fabric on. I didn't feel like I probably got enough Mod Podge on there to keep this secure. I don't want it going anywhere because we're going to be attaching the squirrel to the front, and it's going to be a hanging sign. So I just go in from the front doing another coat of Mod Podge all over, especially making sure I get all of the edges, again, so that I can trim that burlap down without any fraying. So I'm going to kind of sit this aside and let it dry a little bit before I trim that down. But in the meantime, we can start working on our cute little squirrel. He really doesn't need anything. I just wanted to kind of tone down his colors a little bit because he's not very neutral fall. He's got a really cool little hanger on him, but I don't really need that. So I'm just going to unscrew that from the top of the cute little squirrel head. And then I'm going to whitewash this to try to tone it down. So I just took a dry paper towel and a little dot of ivory paint, and I'm just distressing. It's just a quick, easy way to distress. Just working in one direction until I tone down all of the colors and kind of make him look a little bit older than he did before. And just like with any distressing, you can kind of work with it until you're happy with it. I think that looks pretty even. And then I'm also going to sand him down a little bit too, just to kind of roughen him up. It's just a way you can take one of those signs from the Dollar Tree that has like the glossy paper on it, make it look a little bit more high-end. So I'm just going to finish drying the acorn, and then we can just go around and trim the burlap down to size. I'm going to do the same thing we did earlier, just using my sharp fabric scissors and cutting as close to the side of the acorn as I can. Now for the nut part of the acorn, it's going to be this ivory burlap color. I thought that would be a fun contrast against like the tan burlap that we've been using a lot today. So pretty easy to trim down. The only tricky parts were like around the little stem of the acorn and a little bit on the cap. If you flip it over though, it's pretty obvious any areas that you might need to trim up a little bit. And as you can see, no fraying at all. That Mod Podge really is the trick to that. I left the hanger on there just to kind of save a step. And then we need to do the cap part of the acorn. So again, I'm going to use the tan burlap leaves. They come in 2 different sizes, these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. These are the large ones. They also have small ones. And I'm going to use a combination of both to cover up the acorn cap. But I start with the large ones for the bottom here. And what I'm going to do is kind of like make it arch up a little bit, like the cap arches a little bit. Not a lot, but I'm going up a little bit each one. And that is going to be the bottom row for the acorn cap. And if you get any hot glue coming through, you can always clean that up with a heat gun pretty easily. I'm going to switch up to some smaller ones, but I'm going to kind of move back and forth between smaller ones and larger ones, just whatever I'm going to need to kind of fill up any space here. And as you can see, I'm kind of going in the gap on the one lower and layering those on top, so it kind of looks like the scales on the top of an acorn. And I really love how this turned out. It was so easy, and the squirrel is going to make it look so cute. So just kind of sorting these out again, and then I'm switching. I'm still using some smaller ones, but I do go in and use some larger ones here in a minute, just because I kind of had a bigger area to fill. And I do that all the way up to the top of the stem, covering that with one as well. And I think it looks really cute. I'm going to go ahead and attach the little squirrel here right to the front. I think he looks a little bit better distressed. It's going to go with my color scheme a little bit better. And I'm just going to hot glue him to the back. He does have a big label here on the back, so I'm going to try to get most of that out of the way so that I can glue him tightly to the burlap sign. A little hot glue all over. Now I do need to kind of touch up the top of the acorn a little bit, just to kind of even it out, kind of make the cap a little bit more even and fill up any of the areas where like the white burlap might be showing through. So he is nice and secure, and then I'm just going to trim it up, and then I have like an extra one of those little burlap leaves that I can kind of cut down to fill up any of the holes there. The left side seemed to have a little bit better coverage than the right side, but I just cut some little triangular pieces out of that just to kind of mask that. Any of the little areas that might be showing through. And that's the last step in this DIY. It's so easy to put together. I think using the little burlap leaves is a fun idea for the top of the acorn. I'm always looking for something fun to do with that. And I love a good acorn DIY. It's something a little bit different than the pumpkin that you might see everywhere. So this is how he turned out. So cute. I love the little squirrel. And he is super happy to be on a little acorn sign. And that wraps up the neutral fall DIYs. Now we're going to switch it over to owls. I think owls are a really fun theme for fall, and I have lots of great ideas for you, including a tier tray. Now they have a couple of these like little felt owls at Dollar Tree right now. This one's a little bit smaller. It's like a little owl kit. You could probably do it with the larger one too. I don't really need any of the little pieces that came with it because I think they're all kind of cartoonish, and I want to make like a really cool owl wall hanging, but I want it to look more high-end with like burlap and stuff like that. And these bright colors and the felt and stuff like that just doesn't look that way. So I am going to use the little owl part though as a template. I do kind of have to cut off the little feathers for the part of the owl here that doesn't really go. And that is going to be the back of our wall hanging. I want to do like a really fun like burlap owl wall hanging, kind of a plushy kind of thing. And for the burlap, I'm going to use one of these little burlap bags from the Dollar Tree. I love crafting with these. It's like a synthetic burlap, so it doesn't fray. Super easy to cut. It's like coated with like a light plastic there on the back. And it works great for crafting. It's not quite big enough to cover the entire owl, so I'm going to do it in 2 pieces. I'm going to go from like the neck down here, and I'm just tracing this out with a Sharpie on the back of our burlap bag. Then I'm just going to go in and cut that out. Now, I cut it out a little smaller than I actually wrote on there so that I could have a little bit of a felt border around the edges, and that's just how I'm going to put it together later. I kind of thought that would be necessary. So I have a little bit of a felt edge there. So I'm going to use the other side of the burlap bag here to cut out the little owl head. I do go around the little ear tufts there on the owl, but I end up actually not cutting that part out. I tried, but I couldn't really get it to line up very well. And I had a different idea for the little ear tufts anyway, but I went ahead and cut them out initially. So that is going to be like the burlap front of our little wall hanging. And this is going to be kind of like a plushie. I'm going to use it as a wall hanging, but I suppose you could kind of sit it up against something and kind of just use it as a small pillow or a plushie. I think my son is going to actually want this because this is his mascot. Owls are his mascot for college, and he's been asking for a DIY, so I can see him wanting this one because it turned out so cute. So I am just going to start hot gluing the burlap to the front of our brown felt. The felt is kind of like our template, kind of the back. It's not that pretty, so that's just going to be the back of our little owl. And then we're going to go ahead and cover the top. Have a little bit more of an overlap here than I really need. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue this part on. I did glue it shut there at the bottom, kind of forgetting that I was going to stuff it. So I do open that back up here in a little bit to put a little bit of pillow fluff in there. Now, this was my idea for the little ear tufts, was to make just a little tassel. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, wrap it around 3 fingers, then just tie that off just so I'll have like, you know, a little fringy little ear tuft here for this owl. And I'm just going to glue that on there, sticking like straight up. And I am going to go in and cut like the knot off of the little tassel. I just really wanted the fringe of the twine for the little ear tuft to make it look nice and fluffy. I don't know at this point that you can even really tell this is an owl because the shape doesn't really look that much like an owl to me. But in the end, it turns out really cute. So I just go ahead and make a little tiny tassel here for the other side, trying to make it about the same size, hot gluing that on to the little felt ear tuft there. And then just trimming off the knot, I can like flip it over. I can trim that down a little bit because it's a little bit wild at this point. I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. Doesn't need to be quite that crazy. But I do want it longer than the little ear tufts behind it so you can't really see it. Now, these are wood craft rings from the Dollar Tree. These are the larger ones that come in a 2-pack, and I thought they'd make really fun owl eyes. Now, my camera died, but all I did was take an ink pen and trace around the inside of the little wood ring so we know where to paint the eyes. I didn't really want to order eyes or anything for this, so I thought we could paint this and get a really fun effect. So I didn't really want like a stark white on this, so I'm just going in with like an ivory acrylic paint and trying my best to paint a little circle that will be kind of underneath the little wood rings. And then I'm also going to do like a little owl eye on there once I get it painted ivory. That's just going to be like the white part of the eye. Now for the little wood rings, I thought they would look really good stained. So I'm just going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly. I'm going to go all over the front and the back, wiping off the excess stain with a paper towel. Just because it's kind of 3D, you might be able to see a little bit of the back, the way they're going to stick on there. And I think this is going to give our owl these big owl eyes that owls are so famous for, right? Now, this is when I remembered that I probably shouldn't have sealed that shut. So I just used my heat gun just to kind of open up my hot glue right there. And then I'm going to use this Harvest Gold acrylic paint here just to paint some nice yellow owl eyes. I just kind of do a circular shape. Trying to keep them kind of even, maybe looking off to the side a little bit. And then once that's dry, I go in first with a Sharpie to try to like outline the eye and do the pupil. I was kind of having trouble getting my Sharpie to work. I do like the texture that you get from using a Sharpie on this, but it didn't really want to work too well on the eyes. So I'm going to follow that up with a black paint pen and just do a pupil and like outline the little owl eyes. Now for his little owl beak, I thought I would use one of these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree in orange. I just wanted some orange burlap. And I'm just going to cut that down to size and give me a nice little owl beak right here in between the eyes. I just attach it here at the base with a little dot of hot glue so it kind of sticks out a little bit, gives a little bit of a 3D appearance to our little owl. And now it's time to stuff this little guy. I just have some pillow fluff from an old pillow. And I am going to stuff the body first and then stuff the head. I kind of glued the feet shut, so they really didn't get very much stuffing, but I think that's okay. I just try to make the stuffing kind of as thin and flat as possible so it kind of looks, you know, kind of level, but I just do want it to be nice and fluffy. And then I'm just going to use hot glue to seal that back shut with the burlap on top of the burlap. Then to kind of cover that, I thought we would give it kind of a touch of fall with like a fall ribbon. This is like the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon with the little pumpkins on there. And I thought that'd be fun to give it a little fall touch. So I'm just going to hot glue that over the seam. And then we'll just kind of make that into a cute little owl scarf. If I do give this to my son, I'll have to switch out the little scarf here, maybe for some of his school colors. That would be really cute. My son is away at college and we did visit him last weekend. We went to a college football game with him and he came home for Labor Day weekend. It was so great having him around. I really miss that kid. So I did want it to look like a little bit of a scarf. So I just cut 2 more pieces of that same ribbon and I'm just going to glue them here, kind of like it's tied around his little neck. Just a little fun detail, and it covers up that seam, which was kind of necessary. Now for his owl eyes, I think the little wood rings are dry. They really make the eyes stand out, I think. I'm going to use hot glue on the inside and just glue those straight to the front of the burlap. And those are some big owl eyes. I think that's a fun effect. Owl eyes are always a fun thing to do. Now for the seam around the edges, I wanted to have a stitched appearance. So I thought some of this burlap trim from the Dollar Tree would be really cute, specifically the little squiggly ones. I think that's going to make it look kind of like hand-stitched, just a fun little vibe to go with the burlap. And so I am just going to start hot gluing that all the way around. Now, when I got to the little feet of the owl, it got a little tricky. So I did have to cut down just like little pieces to go back and forth on all of the toes. And then I can always trim that up later, and I just hot glue those on. It was easier than trying to get that ribbon to kind of go around all of those crazy angles. And I love these burlap trims from the Dollar Tree. They have 3 different kinds on a package, though. You only get 1 yard of each kind. And so 1 yard was not enough to go all the way around the owl, so I did have to open up another package so I could continue the same cool burlap trim. And see that, like, the effect that's giving it? I think it really gives it a fun little country vibe, maybe. I'm going to stop right here, right before the ear fluff, and then open another package and keep continuing gluing that all around our little owl head. And I think he turned out really cute. What do you guys think about this little burlap owl? Starting with that little kit from the Dollar Tree, I think he looks way more high-end. I think he's super cute. I'm going to trim up his little toes. I guess they're claws, owl claws. And I'm also going to cut a little piece of that ribbon right here just to kind of make that look a little bit nicer there where the little scarf would be tied. And that's when I was trying to decide if I was going to make him a hanging decoration, and I thought that would be the best. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, tie a little knot in it, and I'm just going to hot glue that to the back here of our little owl head. And our first owl DIY is complete, our little burlap owl. Isn't he fun? I have to find a special place to display him. Here he is, his big owl eyes and all. He definitely looks like an owl now. And I love that he has a little pumpkin scarf around his neck, a little touch of fall. And again, I think owls for fall is a really fun theme. I just did like little woodland critters for my last video, and I think owl is a fun one too. Okay, so the next DIY, I wanted to make an owl leaf wreath. So I'm just going to use one of these little wire reforms. I chose the medium size one, but you could do any size you want. And I want to make a cool like leaf wreath that looks like an owl. So I tried to like bend it into an oval shape. And unfortunately, it kind of broke right there at the seam on the bottom. But that's okay. I don't think that's really going to be important. I did try to like hot glue it back together, but I think once we get it all assembled, it's going to stay together anyway. But I kind of wanted that like upside down teardrop shape for our owl. And then I was trying to decide if I wanted it to be an open reef or a closed reef, and I couldn't really decide. So I decided to use this like rug backer from Dollar Tree to make it have a back, but then it'll be see-through, right? This stuff's really fun to craft with because it's got this cool texture, and a lot of times I use it for like, you know, fishing nets or stuff like that for coastal crafting. But I think this is going to be fun on this. Just another little fun texture. And I just hot glue it all the way around. I just cut the square a little bit larger than the reef. But once I get it all glued down, then I can trim off all the excess rug backer just by cutting around the wire. And you don't have to get it too close because we're going to be covering that with the little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. And I think that's going to look like the sides of the owl and the tail and kind of fill it out and give it that shape of an owl. So I went to Dollar Tree today and they had these burlap leaves in the fall section in all different colors. So I got tan, I got red, I got green, I got like gold or that orange color. I was so impressed with how many colors they had. So we're going to use all of them. We're going to make this little owl wreath super colorful. Now, they do have wire on them. And at first I thought about like actually using the wire to string it to them, but they're actually easier to hot glue on. So that's what we're going to do. I just used a little twine now while I could to make a little hanger for a wreath because then that part will be covered up. So it's just a matter of removing the wire from the back. I mean, you could try to string it with the wire, but you're going to have to go in and out of the mesh if you use any kind of a backing on the back of your wreath. I'm going to start right here at the tail and just hot glue down one of the little tan burlap leaves. I think these are so cool. These are like the, I guess, oak leaves. They also have the larger ones that are maple. I don't craft with them as much just because I feel like they're a little bit too large. But I just do one on each side. That way it's kind of symmetrical. And then I can switch colors. I'm going to switch up to these red ones. And I'm going to hot glue like half the leaf there and then have like the other half like overlapping the tan. I'm trying to give the appearance of feathers but using leaves. So I thought that would be fun for fall. I switch it up and we're going to do green next. And that takes us like 3/4 of the way up our little owl wreath, and then orange for the top. And if you can't find all these colors, I think if you could find maybe just a couple, you could get the same effect. I think this would also be really cute with the leather leaves. You can see I had some there in case I decided to use them, but I didn't really have a great variety of those. Then for the owl eyes, I'm going to use these fall flowers from the Dollar Tree. I think they look like really fun owl eyes. And then I can use some more of those burlap leaves for the little ear tufts for our little owl. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the wire from 2 more of those. I'm going to go back to that tan color since I haven't used that since the very bottom. And then just hot glue those and filling out the remaining part of our little wreath there, avoiding the hanger. And now we have our little owl eyes. I can just kind of poke those through the netting, hot gluing that to the back. Those were super easy to attach. I'm going to do one on each side. I think it's a fun way to do owl eyes with the flowers because they definitely resemble that. And I just hot glue them in place, just giving them a little bit of time to set up. Now, the only thing I have left to do on my little owl, this was so easy to put this little owl wreath together, is it needs a little owl beak. And I thought a really fun thing to use for an owl beak would be to use a Dollar Tree acorn. So I picked a nice long one, and then we're just going to hot glue that onto the material on the back of the wreath. Right there where a little owl beak would be. And it's a very kind of abstract kind of owl, but I think when you look at it, you can tell what it is supposed to be. It was definitely an easy owl fall DIY, but I think it turned out really cute. I love that the flowers for the owl eyes are burlap too. So I've got like all these fall colors of burlap all mixed together. Fall flowers, an acorn, everything kind of screams fall, but I think it definitely looks like an owl. And you know, you could totally make this larger. This is kind of the mini version, if you will, because I kind of use the medium size. It's not too large, but I thought this would make a really fun wall hanging for my home for fall. What do you guys think about my little burlap leaf owl wreath? I love him. I think he's really fun. Okay, next DIY. I'm kind of obsessed with these wood slices from Dollar Tree, if you can't tell. This is like the oval one. I want to make it into a little owl, but I want it to be like vertical. So I don't really need the hangers to be on the side. So I'm going to carefully remove those. I'm not going to go after the staples. Sometimes when I do, it like totally splits open the little wood slice. But I thought we could make the wood slice actually look like an owl using some of the burlap leaves and burlap flowers from the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I do is just loop some twine to make a little hanger for the back. Going to use my staple gun to staple that on there so we have a nice thick piece of wood. And then flowers for owl eyes. I thought maybe we could do that with some of these little burlap flowers from the Dollar Tree. I love these things. I think they're so cool. And then for all of the feathers on the owl, I thought we could use these little burlap leaves. They come in like tan and ivory color, and they come in 2 different sizes. And we're going to just piece those together. Now for the eyes on mine, I chose tan burlap flowers for each eye. I think they're going to be about the perfect size. I don't use the little plastic double-sided tape that they come with. I'm just going to hot glue mine on. And then for the body of the owl, I thought I'd switch it up and do like the ivory burlap by switching up the different sizes and shapes to do like little owl scales, feather scales down the front. So like this row, I can fit about 3 of the smaller ones. And they're super easy to attach with a little bit of hot glue. This DIY was really easy too, and it turned out so fun. I think this would actually be really fun for like a Christmas ornament too, or just a fall hanging for somewhere that's kind of small. So I switched it up and did a row of like 2 of the larger ones, and then I'm going to go back and do 3 of the smaller ones. And as you can see, I'm kind of just overlapping them as I go. It'd probably be a little bit easier to start on the bottom with that one. And another one here on the bottom. Then I thought we could use like the tan or the brown ones to do like little wings coming down the side of the owl. Kind of like that. And I have different sizes, and that's fine. I can just kind of mix that up. And I just hot glue those to the sides, kind of overlapping the sides, sticking out a little bit like a wing would. And I kind of had this owl vision in my head. I really didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I really like it. I think it's really fun and sweet. So this is definitely another version of the burlap owl that you can do on a smaller scale. So I'm going to use some of those little leaves for the little ear tufts on this one as well. I thought I'd switch it up and do the ivory since the eyes are the brownish colors. And so I just hot glue the little ear tufts and then hot glue each one of the little flowers on for the owl eyes. Now I wanted like the pupil part of the eyes to be dark, so I'm just going to use a black paint pen and go in and just paint the center part of each one of the burlap flowers black, so it'll kind of pop out and look like an eye. Now I decided I wanted a little bit more of the burlap leaves here to fill out The bottom here, I trimmed one down just because I kind of needed some smaller ones. And just hot gluing that, I wanted to fill up the entire like wood slice. And then I decided I also wanted 2 more on the sides to kind of make the wings go all the way up. So I just did 1 more of the small one on each side. And this little owl DIY is looking really cute. The only thing he needs is a little owl beak. So again, I'm going to use one of those little orange burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree and just cut down a triangular beak for this little guy and hot glue it on with one end right underneath the eyes. And he is complete. I think he's really precious. Wouldn't this make like a really cute like Christmas ornament too? Because I love owls for winter too. But I think he turned out really cute. Here is a close-up of our little burlap owl wood slice. And every time I see those wood slices, I am picking them up because I love them. There's so many things that you can do with them. And they have such a cool texture with the bark around the sides. Isn't he sweet? I think he's really fun. And another fun take on the burlap owl. Now for the next DIY, I designed a printable for y'all. It is a fun owl with a fall scene watercolor. And I thought we could do it on one of these Dollar Tree signs. I'm just going to remove the hanger from the side because I need mine to be vertical. Don't really want that to get in the way. And I love these signs from the Dollar Tree because they're almost the same size as a sheet of paper. So I just printed this out on cardstock, 8.5 by 11, just regular size. And so I'll just have to trim it down a tiny bit. I just kind of used the little frame as reference to kind of guess how long I need to cut it. And as you can see, I don't have to trim it much to get it to fit. And I will share this free printable for you guys if you want to do an owl fall scene as well. I like to Mod Podge this on, and I really like using cardstock for that because you don't really have to worry about wrinkling. You can just lay this and stick that in there, and you're gonna get like almost like a painting look, like a finished artwork piece once you Mod Podge over the top. I'm just making sure that it is down everywhere. Every section is glued flat to that sign. The sign behind it is nice and flat, so it makes a great surface for this. And then we're just gonna go over the top of it with more Mod Podge. I do a couple coats of Mod Podge to get it sealed in. And I like to work in one direction so you kind of get a brush stroke in there too. It kind of gives a cool texture on the final piece. The only problem I have is those foam brushes from the Dollar Tree have been leaving like little gray specks whenever I Mod Podge with them lately. I might have to switch up my brush for my Mod Podging. But I'm cheap and I like to buy paintbrushes at the Dollar Tree. So basically that's all there is to it. All I have to do is give this a quick dry. And we have a little owl fall scene, a beautiful like watercolor scene. And I think this would look great in your fall decor. And again, in the description below, I will be sharing the printable for this. And this is a close-up of how it turned out. You can kind of see the brush strokes in there, how you kind of get that painting feel. And this beautiful owl watercolor scene in front of a fall-colored forest. And I like kind of the medium wood shade of that frame. I think it goes great with it. It looks really cute for fall. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment out of today's video and let you know about my Facebook group. I always have it linked below. You can find out when I post new videos and see what everybody else has been crafting. I also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and Threads, and my handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube. Now we're going to switch it up and do some owl DIYs for a tier tray. And our first owl DIY, I'm going to use one of these little MDF owls that I found at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. And the first thing I'm going to do is give it a coat of ivory all over. And I think it's going to be a perfect smaller size owl DIY for a tier tray. And the tier tray that I was crafting for was my 3-tier tray, so it's going to be a lot of DIYs, little smaller owl DIYs. Now for the eyes, I just chose 2 bottle caps off of a plastic soda bottle. I thought that might be fun, and painted those ivory as well. And then I'm going to give a little bit of a distress with Antique Wax by Waverly on my owl. Now for the pupil of the eye in the little bottle caps, I'm just going to take some of these little plastic round stickers from the Dollar Tree and just paint them black to look like little eyes. You could also use like buttons for this if you wanted. And then I'm just going to hot glue those right in the center of our little bottle caps. And it was a fun idea for owl eyes. I'm also going to use some Dollar Tree rope with that to kind of line the eyes to kind of give them a rustic feel, because I'm not going to do a traditional fall theme with the owls. I'm going to do like more of a coastal blue owl version, kind of to match my decor. But you know what? If you want to do more traditional colors, just kind of keep that in mind when you're watching these DIYs, because you could always switch it up. But I thought the brown rope from the Dollar Tree would make a really fun owl eye, just hot gluing that around our little bottle caps. And there's lots of fun ideas you can do for owl eyes. You just want something that's going to give it that big statement owl eye. And I thought that was a fun take on it. Gonna do the same thing here on the other side, just hot gluing that right around, trying to trim it down to size. And I wanted to kind of an ivory owl, but I also wanted to do some like light blue touches on there as well. And so the first thing I do is just burn off the fuzzies there, and then I use like my little aqua paint pen to give it some nice pretty blue eyes here around our little pupils. I think that gave it some really nice color, and it's kind of fun seeing an owl with some blue eyes, right? And then for the little owl beak, I thought it would be really fun to do a coastal touch by using some sea glass from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just trying to find one that is the right shape and the right color. And I kind of wanted it to be blue to go with my blue theme, and I found one. They usually have like a flat side, and so that's what I'm going to glue down to my little owl here. And it's a perfect shape for a little owl beak. Then I use that same blue color to do some like little scales here on the front of our owl. Kind of like mermaid scales. And a few details sketched out on there as well. Some little orange for his little owl feet. And then I go back and distress all of the aqua, all the colors that we just added to that, kind of give it a softer feel. This little guy was super fun to put together. Now for the eyes, I wanted a little bit more texture in there, so I thought I would use some of this wire jute from Dollar Tree just to add another little rope to kind of disguise the fact that these were actually bottle caps and give it just another little fun texture. So I just wrap those around each one of the little owl eyes to kind of make those owl's eyes just really pop. And then for the chest, I thought I didn't really like the scales I designed on there, and so I switched it up and added some seashells too, because they kind of have that same shape of like the little scales of, you know, fur or feathers, I guess, on the owl chest. So I just glued 2 of them side by side, and then I'll glue a third one here to the top to kind of give you that like feel. And I like that. I think that looks fun. Kind of unexpected, but you know, if I'm going to find an excuse to use seashells, I totally will. But I do want them to have a little bit of a blue touch, so I use that same aqua color, kind of just detail, distress them a little bit. Our fun little owl here for the tier tray. Just a few final touches until I'm super happy with them. And I even wanted that to look a little bit shinier because I felt like I used a lot of like matte colored paints on those. So I just did a little gloss Mod Podge on top. And then I want them to stand up. So I'm just going to use one of these Jenga blocks from Five Below, glue that to the back of our little owl. And then I decided he needs a little more distressing. So I did distress him all over with a little bit more Antique Wax by Waverly, just because I wanted this little guy to have lots of character. I think he kind of already does. Lots of 3D touches on that. And then I decided just a few more. So I'm just going to make some little tassels, kind of like I did before, just by wrapping some twine around my fingers. And I'm going to use those to make little feathers here on the side. Just another little coastal touch. I kind of went extra on this owl, but I love how it turned out. So I just attached that with hot glue and then just cut off the knots, kind of like I did before, for the little ear tufts of the other one to give him some little fluffy wings here. And he is complete and he's ready for the tier tray. Now, this is a planter that I got for $3.50. Actually got it at Dollar General. I thought it was really beautiful though. And I love the texture and the design on there. But I thought it was a little plain being all white. So I told you we're going to do blue for our owls on this one. Because you know what? If it's your owls, you can make them any color you want. So I'm just kind of avoiding the eyes here. And going around and painting all of the little scales here on the owl blue with some agave chalk paint by Waverly. And we're going to add this little planter to our tier tray. And I think he turned out so cute. So I wanted the eyes to be left like that white color. And so I was just being really careful to avoid those when painting. So I kind of switched up to a smaller brush to give me a little bit more detail. And then I'm going to use like this goldish brown color paint pen to color in his little beak and both of his eyes. And I think that's a fun complementary color to the blue. So I think that looks really good, but I think I could bring out the texture on all of the owl scales a little bit more with a little bit distressing. I do touch up the top of it there just to kind of finish off the blue and make that look a little nicer. And then I just take Ivory and a chunky brush and I distress all over, kind of wiping off the excess. You got to be careful though that you're not wiping off the blue, but I just wanted them to have that kind of coastal farmhouse vibe. Blue with the Ivory distressing, but it also brings out that great texture on it. If you find that you distress a little too much on your owl, you could always go back with your original color and touch it up. But instead of a plant, I thought it would be really fun to fill this up with some pumpkins, but it's really large, so I fill it up with some foam first. And then just some of the little white pumpkins here from the Dollar Tree. I'm using just whatever I had. I had some Ivory picks that didn't have the little pumpkin stems. And then some of them that do. I just used the ones with stems on top. And just fill it all the way up with the pumpkins. Okay, next DIY for the owl tier tray. I picked up one of these little owl wood boxes from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. And we are going to stain this. I just go all over with Antique Wax by Waverly. They're a little tricky to stain these little boxes from the Dollar Tree because you have to do the sides. You kind of have to do the insides, kind of anywhere that you're going to be able to see it. But I kind of give it a once over everywhere that I can kind of stain it. I do. And then I just wipe off the excess with a paper towel, and it has that beautiful wood grain. I do want it to look coastal though, so I do distress that with a little bit of Ivory paint to kind of give it that old aged appearance. And I'm going to do that kind of all over. And this is a really fun find from Crafter Square as well. Owls is something that I find that they carry kind of year round. But I always like to decorate owls for fall. I don't know why. They just remind me of a fun fall animal. So I even distressed the sides, the inside, anywhere that I think you might be able to see it. And then we're going to light it up with just a battery operated candle from Dollar Tree. I just take some twine and tie off a simple little bow. I thought that would be a nice, fun, decorative touch here to one of the little ear tufts. We can kind of make it look like a little girl owl, and I just do that, gluing it to the top. Then I had a fun idea that if I took some tissue paper, I could cover up the owl eyes, and then the candle would light that up and make them look like they're glowing. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just cutting down some white. If you had yellow tissue paper, I think that will look even better. And I'm just kind of cutting that down to size and then using a little bit of glue here, a glue stick, to lightly glue the tissue paper and glue it on the inside where the owl eyes now will glow that hopefully yellow color from the candle. And that's how it turned out, ready for the tier tray. The next DIY is from Dollar Tree. It's this little like white ceramic owl. It's kind of got like a really interesting texture on it. I don't know if it's really fall, Halloween, or like Day of the Dead, but I really liked it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is distress this little owl all over with some antique wax by Waverly. And that's going to bring out that beautiful texture on the front of this owl. I try to keep one direction, kind of giving it a wood grain, kind of make it look like a little carved owl instead of that like, flat white ceramic that it started out with. And I thought that was a fun effect. Now, when you paint like ceramic with antique wax by Waverly like this, you got to make sure that you get it really good and dry before you touch it, because it does take longer to dry on this kind of material than paint would. And see how cool the design is on that? I think it's really fun. I just made sure I got all the areas touched up, and then I'm going to distress it with Ivory too to give it that aged appearance. And that distressing also brings out the texture even more by kind of making those areas kind of pop. No blue on this guy, but I think he looks cool. I was going for like a carved wood look on this owl. Okay, next DIY for owl tier tray. I picked this up at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree too. It is just a wood owl, and it's kind of got like the front panels on it. I just go over the whole thing with some blue. This is agave chalk paint by Waverly. You do have to be kind of careful though, because the paint kind of wants to like kind of sit there in the owl's scales on its chest. But I wanted blue for the back owl, and then I wanted the top part of it to be distressed more in like the ivory, to kind of do a blue and a white theme on this little owl. So I just kind of drag that over. I don't really worry about getting some on the blue owl because I'm just going to go back and distress it anyway with that ivory color. Then once I get it painted all that color, I want to distress it even more. So I use a little antique wax by Waverly, and I distress both the ivory parts and the blue parts to give it that aged appearance. I want him to stand up too, so I glue a little Five Below Jingle Block to him as well. And this little owl DIY is ready to go. Super cute, super easy. Now this one I actually got at Goodwill. I got it half price. It was only $1.50, and it's a really fun like plush owl. I think I looked this up online, and maybe they were like originally sold at Kohl's. But at the time I thought that, this could be handmade. It really kind of looks handmade with all the like little crocheted parts and stuff like that. It was well loved, so I'm just going to touch it up. Glue back any parts that might fallen off, or, clean it up a little bit. But otherwise, he was in pretty good condition, and I thought he'd be really fun on the top of my tier tray because he's nice and large. He'll be a nice statement piece. He's got like burlap on him. He's got like all these different colors of brown and tan and different textures. He's even got like little leather eyes So I thought he was a fun find. I also got this little candle holder at Goodwill for 99 cents, and it just looks like a little tree log, and I thought that would be perfect for an owl tier tray for fall as well. Now this little owl is from the Dollar Tree. They have these in all different colors, but I wasn't really a fan of any of them, but you can always paint them, and that's what I'm going to do. I just use that same agave chalk paint by Waverly. The chalk paint does a really good job of painting over this glossy ceramic, and I'm just going to paint him all over. I was like looking online for owls, and like people take these little owls from the Dollar Tree and they paint them all different colors like this and sell them for way more online, I've noticed. Then I just distress him all over with Ivory. It's going to bring out all like the scales, feathers all over a little owl, and gives me a really fun texture. So I just kind of go back and forth with my colors there until I'm happy with him, and I think he's ready to go. Okay, the next find, I found these owl salt and pepper shakers. Aren't they so cute? I thought these were a really fun find, and these were from Dollar Tree. The first thing I'm going to do is paint them ivory. I'm not going to use these as salt and pepper shakers. I'm actually just going to use them as decorations for my tier tray, and so I don't really care that I'm not using like food safe paint or anything like that because I'm not going to use them. So I painted one ivory, so I thought it'd be fun to paint the other one, the agave blue color that we were using, and so they'll look a little bit different, but they're going to be shaped the same. And I thought they would be really cute to do like a little blue owl, little ivory owl, and sit them up on a Dollar Tree hay bale. So they're looking pretty cute. I do go in and give a little bit of detail with like my gold paint pen, give him some little gold eyes, a little gold beak, and do the same thing on this one just to give them a little bit more detail. And then this is the Dollar Tree hay bale. I am just going to stand them up on that, and they are ready to go. Another owl crafter square find. I found this little wood box with this cute little owl on it, and I thought that'd be a fun thing to, decorate my tier tray with. At first I tried to avoid the owl, but then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stain the whole thing with Antique Wax by Waverly, and then I can always go back and paint the owl over that. No big deal. I am going to go ahead and include the entire box, so I just go ahead and stain the entire box with the Antique Wax by Waverly. Now to kind of stay with my blue theme, I'm kind of using kind of a mint green bluish color to color in my cute little owl here on the front. He's kind of cartoonish, but I think he's super cute. I kind of paint everywhere that bluish color except for the eyes, so we can kind of go back in and make that two-tone. I'm just going to paint the eyes of our little owl ivory to kind of make them pop against the blue. And this was such a fun, easy little DIY to do. Don't be afraid of like these raw wood boxes like that. If they have something on them, that would match your theme. Didn't that turn out so cute? I thought for a little bit more texture, I could take some of the burlap trim ribbon to decorate around the side of the lid. I thought that'd be cute too. But again, I'm going to distress everything with some ivory to kind of give it that coastal farmhouse vibe that I love so much. So I distress the little wooden lid. I also go ahead and distress the box just so it's a little bit more uniform. Wiping off any excess with a baby wipe. Now I can go ahead and attach the burlap trim. I'm just going to do it around the edges. I thought it would just give us another little fun texture here to our owl tier tray. And I just go all the way around all four sides, just tacking that down with hot glue. And this DIY is ready to go. Isn't it cute? I love the little blue owl. And I can stand that on the side where you'll be able to see it on a tier tray. Okay, I found this cute little owl actually at the Target dollar spot. He's a little teeny tiny owl planter. He was $1. And so it was kind of like an unfinished ceramic. So to make it more finished, I just go over it with some ivory chalk paint. to give him a good coat of paint. And then I'm going to go in with like my mint green paint pen, give him some like blue eyes. And my gold paint pen, give him a little golden nose. And kind of bring out some of the scales there on the front of him as well. He's super tiny, but I thought he'd be a fun little thing for the tier tray. Okay, the next DIY, I thought it would be fun to do like a tree, since we're doing owls and we're doing a fall theme. So I picked up one of these galvanized metal trees from Dollar Tree, and I just do the trunk with Antique Wax by Waverly, but I also put some all around the tree because I want it to look like a fall tree. So I want to paint it, but I want to do like all different colors, like fall colors that a tree might be. So I go back in and kind of distress all of that with just some yellow paint and kind of blending it all together. I thought orange would be good too. So I go in with some orange too, kind of dot that around. I just wanted to look like a kind of an abstract fall tree that we can add a little owl to. I go back with some yellow, kind of distressing over the orange because it was kind of bright until I'm happy with it. For the owl, I'm going to use a little owl sticker that I found at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this one because he's got blue on him. It's kind of going to go with my blue theme of my owls. And I just stick him right inside the tree. Now, sometimes I like to decorate the little pole in the middle of my tier tray. And I found these great owl bows at the Dollar Tree. And they're burlap. I thought these would be perfect. I can just put that on there. And then for a little filler, I thought some golden fall leaves from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. So let's start putting this little owl tier tray together. Again, this is my 3-tiered galvanized metal tier tray that I got at Target. I always remove the ring on the top of mine just because it kind of gets in the way. So I just put the bow on there. Here is our thrift find owl. He is such a find. I love that little guy. Our little blue and white owl, our little tiny owl, we could just put on top of that little log candle. That looks really fun, and then you can see it. Moving down, we have our little candle owl that we DIY'd. Our Dollar Tree owl right here in front. I love him in blue. The little box that we DIY'd, so fun. Sorry, I'm totally banging the camera here. And the one that looks a little bit carved. Gonna just use some fall leaves to provide a little fun fall color in there. A nice contrast against all the blues that we used. And then we have one more tier to decorate. So the little hay bale with our little salt and pepper shakers. We DIY'd one blue and one white. And our little tree with our little owl in it as a fun little fall surprise. Gonna again use some of those leaves as filler. And here is that fun little owl that we DIY'd with all kinds of fun coastal touches. And then our little owl planter full of pumpkins to finish it off. So fun putting this little owl tier tray together. I am just going to kind of rearrange things here until I'm super happy with it and just fill up any areas that don't have anything with some more fall leaves. And this is how it turned out. It's not a traditional, probably, owl tier tray, just because I switched it up with my coastal touches and my blues. But if you didn't want to do blues, you know, hopefully I gave you some great owl tier tray ideas. You can kind of paint yours whatever color you want. Some of those Dollar Tree owls, once I, painted the textures on them, I think they turned out so cute. And our little bottle cap owl there in front is so funny. I really liked the planner that I picked up at Dollar General as well, with its big owl eyes. And there's our little fall tree right there in the back. And that's just another fun fall theme for a tier tray. Thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button. And please come to the comments and tell me what your favorite fall DIY was today. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers. Now it's time for the final reveal.
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Dancing through the last days of September. Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Dancing through the last days of September. Open up the window, I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. since I was a little child. Every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November.
And I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the following Crafty Beach members. Thank you to Coastal Couple, Pamela Bergeron, I Am Mojo Jojo, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Sandra Ray, Carrie R, Tracy Knight, Verna Noctegal, Julie Miller, Nancy Wunner, Jan Zalata, Tammy Coates, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Butterfly Mama, and our newest member, Maria Grace. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. And thank you for making it all the way to the end of this long fall DIY video. If you'd like to watch more Crafty Beach, YouTube thinks you might enjoy this video right here. Happy crafting!